Well, hello. Welcome to the THC Show. I'm your host, Neil Magnuson. This is a show where we talk about THC. You know, truth, hope, and change. If you're new to the show, you might have been confused about that. Truth, hope, and change is what we're after. We try to find the truths. We try to find some reasons for hope that things are going to change in a positive way, because the truths that we find out are not very pretty, and they really do need to change. On the show today, we'll have 8 out of 10 Glenn from CannaMatch.ca, as always, for the 420 session. We're going to update you on the CSP Healing Wave situation, and we're going to talk a lot about the cups that are coming up in the cannabis world, which is it's very, very exciting. As for the CSP, there's a court update. We ended the episode last week with on the brink of going to court. That the CSP Healing Wave RV, where we provide access to people for getting off of those other drugs in a neighborhood where there's all kinds of tents set up with people selling all kinds of hard drugs and opioids to people. We have been here for quite a while providing an option to that. And we've been trying to get the government in Ottawa to support what we're doing here. There's no reason why they wouldn't, because in all the time that we've been trying to get that to happen, we've continued day after day to demonstrate the effectiveness of what we're doing here as the best solution so far that there is to this public health emergency, the overdose crisis, the poison drug supply. So in waiting for Health Canada, we were raided by the VPD on May 11th. We still don't know why, although apparently the disclosure has now been released, but I'm not allowed to talk about it, even though I also don't even know myself. I haven't seen it yet, but the disclosure is there, so perhaps in there is the reason why they would come and raid our RV that we've been using for almost 2 years here to help people get access. It's a long story, right? And arrest myself and 2 of my volunteers and seize the RV and all of the products that were destined to help the people in the neighborhood. That happened, and now we've had our first court appearance on that to see what's going to happen. These charges need to be withdrawn immediately, but they weren't. In fact, a good amount of people met with us at the courthouse there, had a nice show of support outside. Many people came into the courtroom with George, Andrew, and myself. And when it was our turn, we had to stand up and stand before the judge. Our lawyer, on a Zoom call, on a TV screen, and an articled student representing the Crown, had a brief discussion with the judge that was ending up with us having to come back in 4 weeks. And that was going to be that for that. So I spoke up and I said, "Your Honor, may I say something?" And he said, "You should probably talk to your lawyer." I said, "Well, these proceedings are a criminal misuse of public funds, and I have with me these 2 letters that I have, one from City Council and the other one from Professor Zachary Walsh, and I think that you should look at them, sir, because these proceedings need to stop here and now." He said, "I think you should talk to your lawyer." So I thanked him and wished him a good afternoon, and we all got up and left the courtroom, and I wasn't very satisfied at all with that. So I walked down the hall to the prosecutor's office and I asked to talk to a federal crown, and I was presented with a woman who said she was. I asked her if she was familiar with our case. She said a little bit, and she was in touch with the person in Ottawa, I believe, who has the file. And I expressed to her what I had expressed to the judge, and I told her about the letters that I had, and she was happy to take copies of those letters. Said that somebody that this person who had the file would contact me. I gave them my phone number. That's a week ago now. I've never gotten a phone call. Perhaps they're just too embarrassed at this point and they're going to just withdraw the charges. That's what should happen, but I don't know. So at this point, August 17th, we're to be back in front of the judge, and I'm not even really sure what we're supposed to have in place by that time. I guess legal counsel. I might just defend myself. We'll see. But this is the most disgusting of things, that this is going on at all. It is not us that are on trial here for having done anything wrong. In fact, we have documented how we've done everything as right as we could from before we ever started what we've been doing for 5.5 years. This is the federal government that's on trial here. They're the ones who have criminally derelict in their duties. They are in contempt of the populace. They are allowing people to die in large numbers to protect corporate and financial interests. The federal government is more corrupt than even I believed they were to begin with. And they're the ones who really need to be held with their feet to the fire about what the hell has gone on here. We have been demonstrating for 5.5 years that we are, by far, the best harm reduction solution to this public health emergency. We have all of the support of the other harm reduction groups that are working on this same project, saving people's lives. We have the support of the other levels of government. We have support from the VPD. They gave us back our RV. They know exactly what we're doing, that we never stopped for even one day when they arrested us and took our RV away. They're 1 block up the street, not even. They drive by every day and give us a wave and a nod. I was just walking down the sidewalk the other day and I had a VPD officer there who said, "Hey, how'd it go in court?" and wished me success. Off the record, a couple of them have told me just to keep doing what we're doing. We have support from everyone in the neighborhood, from all levels of government except the federal government. And that's because what we're doing is the right thing and we're doing it the right way. We're trying everything to do this the right way. The only thing that could be different is if we just stopped doing what we were doing until we had permission. That's what one officer told me. Just obey. Just obey until you get the right pieces of paper with signatures in place. But sir, people are dying that we're saving right now, that are relying on us. How could we possibly stop? We couldn't possibly stop what we're doing. And for them to think that we could or suggest that we should is born in absolute corruption, in the absolute desire to either kill off people that don't deserve to live because they've chosen to be drug addicts, but much more prevalently, it's about protecting the bottom line profits of pharmaceutical companies and the opioids that they dispense and the cannabis companies that are legal. We're asking for licenses to provide low barrier access. That's all. That is all. Low barrier access to cannabis, especially in the form of high dose edibles and other concentrates, because that is where the medicine is. The medicine is not in the leaves or the stems. The medicine is in the resin glands, the trichomes, the resin glands, the cannabinoids. You take those cannabinoids away from the plant matter, and now you've got serious medicine. You put that into some sort of a form that people can ingest it and it works for them. Who the hell would ever tell you couldn't do that? Who has the right in our world to tell us we can't do that? People are suffering, they're dying, they're in pain, and there's a natural medicinal herb that's been used for thousands of years and horribly lied about for the last century to protect some corporate interests that we all know is the case now. And still, we can't have easy, low barrier access to that in a public health emergency where people are dying without high dose edibles to get them through withdrawal and replace the use of those things. We've got Professor Zachary Walsh, the world's foremost expert on cannabinoid replacement therapy, who backs up what we're doing. We've got Professor M.J. Malloy, who's written us letters and is in the process of writing us another one right now to support what we're doing here. Used our project for research to determine that absolutely this works, and we know it works. We've got hundreds of people here that are members. We've got hundreds more people that are coming every day that are telling us how it works. Where's the government? Where's the federal government? Why aren't they here? We have a public health emergency, Canada-wide, 10,000 people dead in BC alone in the last 7 years. And they're not even going to come and look and check out what is presenting itself as the best solution to that problem. Talk about derelict in their duties. It's obscene. It's disgusting. And in fact, it's even worse than that. Because just prior to the raid, Health Canada wrote us a letter after having our application in for almost 2 years, to say that their intent was to deny our application and that we had 30 days to respond, because I guess they have some legal requirement that they give us a time period with an intent to deny. And we were in the process of responding to that, although that's not enough time at all. And 2 weeks into that, we get raided by the VPD, who obviously weren't aware of that negotiation that we had going on with Health Canada, because Health Canada was then put in a position where they had to give us an extension on that, and we've got till September 6th to respond to their intent to deny. And the response is to their reasons to deny. 2 reasons to deny, they say. One, that all of our cannabis that we're supplying to these people is not considered legally. Well, it's still helping them. It's still replacing the use of things that would otherwise kill them. So I think that even if there's some danger to having cannabis that's not been grown with government regulations, even though there might be some danger to that, yeah, right, it's still replacing the use of a deadly poison drug supply for people who can't get off that stuff. And we're helping them get off with cannabis. And in fact, the cannabis that we use to help people get off that stuff is primarily just the edibles. And our edibles are made by people who are using the plants that they're allowed to grow, either their 4-plant limit or the medical grows that they're allowed to have. So that's all legal. And if some of the other cannabis isn't legal, then provide us with legal cannabis at no difference in price so that our prices don't have to go up, because we can't raise prices for people. In fact, if government was involved, prices should come down. That's what government regulations should be all about, is that you can't gouge in the marketplace. Got to have some justification for what you're charging, especially if it's a medicinal plant. Especially if it's a medicinal plant that's going to help people get off of opioids in the middle of a public health emergency to do with poisoned opioids. If you can't supply us with with the equivalent of what we're using now to help people at an equivalent price, then license the people that are supplying us. Why not? Have a proven track record. They've been providing us for years. Never hurt anybody, never had a single complaint. So what's the justification for Health Canada to decide that we can't use these products, or that they wouldn't license them? They should license them if that's what they need to do. And if they can't, they need to come up with a solution for us, not just deny us. To deny us is murder. The solution for them is, if they have issues with the way we're doing things, is to help us do it in ways that are better, cheaper, not harder, not more expensive, not worse, but they should be helping us do it better and cheaper. That's what their regulations should be about, not maintaining strict control and overinflated artificial prices based on a bunch of stigma and lies that are still going on about what cannabis is all about. Cannabis is not a menace to society. Alcohol has proven itself to be a menace to society. Go check out the fireworks. Go check out Gastown on a Friday night. It's easy to see. You might even have personal experience within your own home and family. Alcohol can be a menace. Should be fairly tightly controlled. Not to the point where the black market supplies it, that's for sure. But there should be regulations on it. Cannabis? Cannabis has done nothing but proven itself to be a medicinal herb of great value to people. Helps them chill out and calm down, feel better, sleep well, have less pain in their life, deal with stuff. Cannabis is nothing but a benefit to people. Very few people get themselves into a position where they think they can't stop using cannabis and it's a problem. That's not a thing. There's no rehab for cannabis. That's a joke. There is no rehab for cannabis. People can't get enough cannabis. It's a multi-billion-dollar crop in just this province alone because people want it, because people like it, because it helps them. And the government's been wrong, criminally wrong, all of these years in in using the criminal law to try to restrict people's access based on a bunch of lies that have now come out. And they didn't just now come out. 1969, we had the Ledane Commission here in Canada that said quite clearly there should be no criminal sanctions against anything to do with cannabis. Of course there shouldn't. Nobody's being harmed intentionally with cannabis. That's ludicrous. People are intentionally helping themselves, intentionally recommending it to other people to help them. Nobody was ever harmed by cannabis. There's never been justification for it. Not because white women might sleep with black men. That was never justification either. Not because it makes you go crazy and insane and play the piano like you're a madman. That was never true either. None of these reasons that they had, that they came up with during the reefer madness era, were ever the least bit true. These were perpetrated by people with an agenda to protect their own non-cannabis interests. An agenda that involved lying to the public as best they could. And these are people who knew that if you tell a lie, make it a big one if you want people to believe it. And they controlled the media. Time magazine, Life magazine, Maclean's magazine. There wasn't many more. There weren't too many mainstream magazines. Same with newspapers. Every major city had a newspaper or two, many times owned by the same person. Many times the newspapers in every city were owned by the same person. Some guy named William Randolph Hearst. Yeah, he was a piece of work. He was a rich bastard who owned all kinds of land and was farming the trees off of that land when Mexico decided to reclaim what was theirs and reestablish the border. It involved taking away a whole bunch of Hearst's land and trees. 4:19, you got 1 minute, I got 1 minute. I got way more to say than I could say in a minute at this point. I'm deep into this. But the bottom line is they lied to people. They seriously lied to people for a long time about all these evils of cannabis, and none of it was true. None of the reasons they ever came up with, even after the Ledane Commission, after the Schaefer inquiry in the States that came to the same conclusions as the Ledane Commission, after that, they stopped saying, oh, it makes you insane and crazy, because that had been debunked. Then they said it makes you lazy. It's a communist plot so that people don't want to go to work or obey their government. More lies, more excuses, more lame reasons, but the best they could come up with at that point to continue the criminal prohibition of cannabis. It has been a very horrendous era around the world with what's happened to do with the attempt to annihilate this plant to protect corporate interests. Let's hope it ends soon. And in that spirit, we will move to the 420 session, because we need a break from all this when that happens and we get too deep into it. Glenn Wells is here. Of course he is. Yay! Talk about getting deep into it. Deep into the wells.
I had a grade 6 teacher who said, this is Mr. Wells. He's very deep.
He's very deep.
That's how he introduced me the first day of school.
I see.
I
had a science teacher, Mr. Mohammed, in grade 6, who on his first day showed up there, didn't like that I was a bit of a class clown, picked me up and carried me all through the classroom for everybody to witness. That's what I remember.
You know what I noticed? They have Magnuson mattresses now. You need one.
Do they?
Yeah, at the Brick.
Oh.
Yeah, you need one.
Sure.
Yeah, you should get one.
I sleep well, though, you know.
Yeah, but hey, you probably
Magnuson
sleep good on a
mattress.
Magnuson. Yeah. I was like, oh my God.
It's got to be good because,
now you got cars, now you got a bed.
Let our reputation move you, Magnuson. I hear that several times a day. What do you got there?
I'm smoking this from the Mom Cup.
Oh, Mom Cup.
Yeah, we're going to give away a package today.
We are. You want to get to that first, do you?
Well, I don't know. Well, let's light this up. Well,
okay.
We can talk
it's
about
not the one that's coming up first. It is as far as the cups go.
Yeah,
but that's what I got all this stuff on my
got BC
thing here.
Bud first.
We'll talk about BC Bud.
All right.
We'll definitely brought to you by CannaMatch this year.
Okay, I'm gonna put
I got a few little items on my desk here. These are 500 milligrams of edibles. This is some Feco, full extract cannabis oil. We got some live rosin. There's some other, looks like butter crumble here. Did you pull that out of there? Oh, no, you didn't.
No, I got my own. I bought my own.
Yeah, well, we can't smoke this one because this is going to somebody there. Also got some Bovita, moisture packs, which are great for keeping your weed the right temperature.
Sticker.
There's some papers here from OCB. I should mention this is Golden Coast. I should mention this is Bubba King's.
And
I don't have a name on the other stuff, so that's what I got there.
The top.
There's a couple of stickers in here as well, but this is not all that you get.
No, the topper is the winner will get, if you can attend, a free weekend pass to the
Hope, British Columbia.
Yeah, Hope in British Columbia. I've already got that in here. And if you cannot attend, you live in another province in Canada, then she will send you a judge's kit.
There you go.
So I'm going to put the rules up in the comments right now. We need you guys to put 1 star in the comments. After a little while, we'll say that this is the end. We'll count up the stars. We'll set up a random generator from 1 to how many stars there is. We'll pull a number and we'll count down the amount of stars, and that person will be a winner.
So if you want this and you want a free access pass to the Mom Cup, or if you can't go and you'd like a judge's kit, well, then you want to put a star in the comments.
Yeah.
And that's for sure.
And we'll run that while I'm on here, and then before we finish, we'll go over there. We'll count how many stars.
Now that we're
Douglas put a star. A star. That's not a star, Douglas. That's the sun. But whatever.
There are easy ways to get eliminated from the contest if you don't do it right. Read the fine print. Look between the words. We need to have a star.
I put a star right up there.
There it is. That's the star.
It's right there.
What if you just wrote the word star?
Well, no. We need a star.
Well, what if you don't have the icons?
Oh, it's right there. It is.
Everybody for sure, 100%.
Has a star. Yeah. See, there's one. Cannabis Coast.
Yeah, but Robert doesn't have a star.
See, Mary put it. Okay, so I guess we're going to count those red things.
And what's Mary got going? Even Douglas, he thinks that's a star.
Well, maybe it's an exploding star.
Okay, we made the rules. We'll change the rules.
Yeah.
The rules are: if you put a star there that looks like a star there that we think is you putting a star there, you're in.
You're in.
You're in.
All right, so we are 1, 2, 3, 4 stars.
We're not like the federal government in Canada or whatever country you're from. We are reasonable.
You must have gold star.
We are reasonable people here. If your star is not gold, it's still a star. You're still in. Yeah. You're still a star. So, just briefly now that we're talking about the Mom Cup, and that's what's going on. Mom Cup, this is the 3rd year for the Mom Cup. The Mom Cup is not us bringing together a bunch of mothers that we want to select and see who we would have grow for us, although that could be a thing. But no. It's mail order marijuana.
Yes.
That's what it is. It's all about those suppliers of cannabis that will mail you cannabis. And that's an interesting space there that those people are in. It's hard for people to know whether or not they can trust a place if they're going to order cannabis. So what you need to have is a good reputation. And this is the way that you would get that. You would go to a cup that you can put your wares on display there. Yep. You can have connoisseurs judge those things.
Yep.
And so you get your name out there, you get a reputation, and then people will get you to mail them some weed. So it's a really good thing. It's very, very important as we continue to have to find ways to supply ourselves with good cannabis because the government still refuses, at least at any prices that are reasonable. We can get into that a little bit later as well. But the Mom Cup is a great event. I've been involved in the previous 2. Many hilarious and great stories. Oh, man. I mean, those things are epic. I'm sure this will be equally as epic or more. It's going to be this time in some outdoor natural venue somewhere around Hope.
Yeah.
There's camping available. First come, first serve for the whole weekend. And I think you can get in as early as Thursday, maybe Friday. I'm not sure. Check the website and see. So they're going to have Mike Rita there. Yep. I mean, that's a coup. To have Mike is not an up-and-coming comedian in Canada anymore. This guy has reached those levels. I mean, he is playing some of the big clubs. He is doing some great stuff. He's amazing. A good friend that will make you laugh your ass off. And Mike's going to be there helping you laugh your ass off at the Mom Cup. So that's great. Go there for that. Also, if you're into glass, there's going to be live glass shows. Leash Glass is going to be there. They're going to have a music off, where the bands, there's going to be bands, entertainment, and stuff like that, and they're going to compete against each other.
Okay.
So that's always great. Some of the best stuff comes out when that's going on as well. There's going to be speakers, Johnny B, Tamara Cartwright, Sterling, the professor will be there, Dennis Bovar from POV 420, and Asia Moon herself will be speaking there. Yeah. I'm going to co-host the event, so you'll be hearing me speak a little bit too. And that's a great event coming up. This is the August 26th, 27th, 28th. So it's coming up fast.
And it's family friendly, but the cannabis area will be 19 plus. You'll have to get a silver band, and you'll have to provide ID to prove that you're 19 before you get the silver wristband, is what she says. So it has to be 19 plus, yes.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
So you can bring your kids, and then camp for the weekend. They just can't go in the cannabis area. But,
okay. And hopefully there'll be space for the kids to be looked after properly and have a good time.
Those families have teenagers who will take care of the kids.
Or some other parent.
Or some other aunt or uncle or whatever.
Right.
We just... She wanted to make it so that it is family friendly. It doesn't have to just be people that are just smoking.
It's the cannabis family.
It is.
We're a good family.
Yes,
been a very good family.
Yeah.
I appreciate the family.
The law as it is, since it's a public event, basically, right?
So I mean, now that we're on the Cup run, there's another great one coming up as well.
I know.
The Prairie Cup.
Yeah.
The Prairie Cup is the first weekend in September. That's early in September. There, it's the 10th. I just want to say Friendly Cup. It's the Prairie Cup, but it's it's the Friendly Cup. It's always been known as the Friendly Cup. That started early on when the people were arriving from all these parts of Canada and enjoying their time there, and it just was like, wow, everybody here is just super friendly, and it really got that reputation naturally. That grew organically, so we've been calling it the Friendly Cup ever since. And they also have Mike Rita.
Yes, I know.
So just got Mike Rita coming. Mike, in fact, is going to co-host or host the event, I believe. I think he's hosting. Yeah. I think he's going to be the MC this year. Of course, Greg Williams had that role most of those years, and Greg, so sad that he's passed on and won't be there with us this year. I'm sure he will be there in spirit, and everybody's going to miss him for sure. Yeah. So, that's going on there. And the Cannabis Olympics are also something that's... it started there. It's been that's their thing there at the Prairie Cup. Redbeard, famous for some of his antics. And so they're going to have the Cannabis Olympics at the Prairie Cup as well. It's a camp situation as well.
Same as like Mom.
So it's a little bit outside of town. Yeah. First come, first serve. And... there's camping available. So there's other things available as well within Saskatoon. But if you want to camp, you can. Sounds like an experience. And so, that should be great. And that, like I say, the first weekend in September for the Prairie Harvest Cup. And then there's the Karma Cup. It comes up, I think, right after that.
It's like 3 cups in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3.
So for anybody who gets to do all 3 of those, lucky you.
I wonder what Mike's doing in Toronto, being that he is famous in
Toronto. I wouldn't be surprised, but I haven't heard that.
Either, right, yeah.
I haven't. They haven't reached out to me to tell me what's going on there. By next week, I'll have reached out. They're the last of the 3 to come, so we've got a little bit of time left before that happens. We can tell you about that, and even the other ones. There's a little bit of time involved in those. Although the Mum Cup is coming up fairly quickly here. So
don't forget your stars. We've got some stars here. If you want a chance of winning that cup,
we got this here. No, they don't win the cup.
No,
they don't win the cup.
No.
You're not going to win the Mom. You won't win the Mom Cup if you send in a star and get pointed there.
Yeah.
But you will win this stuff, which doesn't look like much, but it's actually, these are good, but nothing like what this concentrate is, and this live rosin, and this is 500 milliliters, and then this, of course, is the coup de grace. But this is not it at all either. There's a free access pass to the event itself
for the whole weekend.
Yep. And if you can't make it, they'll send you a judge's kit so you can check out that. And what do they do again? What do they do again?
What do you mean?
Who these people? What do they got to do to get this stuff?
Put a star.
Put a star.
Just a star, just like Al did and James did.
So if
you're
in the chat,
if you're in the chat, comment the star.
If you're not in the chat, I'm very sorry.
Before the time we end,
it's the only way we can do these things.
Stars. We'll do a random generator right live here, and we will pick somebody as a winner. So if George was to go out and get in the van and go put a star in there, he would be in for winning that too.
George doesn't watch. George doesn't watch the show.
You're a volunteer.
What? Why wouldn't you be a volunteer? Why wouldn't you?
Eligible to win.
What?
Yes, you are.
I'm an employee.
No, you're not. You don't work. You don't work for Pot TV. You don't work for the THC Show. You do not. You don't work for the Mom Cup. You don't work for the THC Show, and you don't work for Pot TV.
Yeah. So
I mean, you may well be a walk-on character on the THC Show, but that doesn't make you an employee. So what I'm saying, George, what I'm saying is you go put a star on the thing there, and you could maybe win. That's what I'm saying. Don't tell anybody. Tell everybody.
Tell everybody, yeah. Well, Andrew
why would you tell anybody? I wouldn't tell anybody. I wouldn't be phoning my friends going, hey, put a star up. I did.
We can't. We're live.
Well, maybe. No, I'm just saying, it's just the unethical thing to do.
Well,
it's just a complete unethical thing to do.
He lives here in Vancouver. Jen's just as she's a person that could do it too.
All persons can do this.
Andrew doesn't have Facebook.
Except for Glenn and I.
Yeah.
Glenn and I in Asia.
We
can't do that.
Or Sterling.
But everybody else can do that. But I'm just saying the unethical thing to do, because sometimes you want to do the unethical thing.
Yes.
It's sometimes. Not. Yeah. Sometimes you want to do the and when it's a competition.
Yeah.
When it's a competition, you lie. Mm-hmm. You deceive. You cheat. You steal. The guy on the baseball game the other day stole a base. No, well, not politics. It sounds a lot like politics. And politics is a game.
Yes,
and it's a competition. And all of those things are present in that game too. I was more referring to deking somebody out with a hockey stick,
No.
looking this way and passing that way, you don't tell the truth when you're playing a game. And so if you're entering a contest, you kind of don't want a whole bunch of other people to enter the contest if it's based on, odds like that, right?
Oh, David's got one.
We actually talked about this last week, remember?
The contest.
About gambling.
Yes, remember gambling.
About if you're going to gamble,
always win.
You should, but if you want to gamble, you should try where the odds are the best.
Yeah.
If you can enter a small town raffle and there's only 50 other people that joined, you got a pretty good chance of winning. Yeah. You're playing the 649. There's 649 other million people that are also playing that, and your odds are pretty slim. I mean, I don't know what the odds are for 649, but I've been told before, and it's kind of like getting hit by lightning 3 times in the same place or something. It's like really, really hard. Oh. What do we got? More stars?
George is there.
Look at that. George is watching. He's thinking about it.
He's thinking about it.
Does he want the star or not? He's gonna put it up there.
Stars up. Like I said, before I end this session here,
if you're on that side of it, you wouldn't be calling your friends and putting it out there. Hey man, there's this contest because you want to keep your odds good, right?
Yes.
If you're on the other side of it, if this is a fundraiser, for the Warnocky Seaman and Martin case, for example, we raised some money for lawyers for that, and I was on the other side of that. Mm-hmm. So now my job is to get as many people as I can to buy into that, to put stars up, to increase that. In this case, we're not raising money for anything.
No.
We're raising some awareness, and that was the point. We're trying to make people aware of what's here, what's to be able to be won, the Mom Cup. But if it was money, then it would be like, you don't want to tell everybody.
Yeah.
You
can come there with, I do have a price list. Maybe should I bring up the price
No, let
list?
them go to the website. Let people go to the website. Right. We've also got a little bit of time left before.
Yeah. Okay. So I think there's like the whole camping weekend. There's a VIP package.
I mean, we're probably talking about these things. At least the Mom Cup 3 more times, the Prairie Cup 4 more times, the Karma Cup 5 more times. Yeah. So, there is still some time involved in all of that.
And Mike just put up a star. That's good. We're getting there. Lots of stars out today. All right, then Karma Cup's coming. You said.
I'm always trying to think of what the ethical thing to do is, eh? Well, that's what led me to be where I am and doing what I'm doing.
Just let it happen.
I always have to think about it.
Don't let it.
I can't help.
Just let it happen.
My brain wants to say, well, should we end it now so that there's not too many people in there?
Jen going in there too.
But for all those people that are stragglers, somebody might be just tuning in right now.
Yeah.
We got a little thing going on. We're going to give away some stuff here. We got some fecal oil, and we got some concentrates, and some things, some things. A little joint in here, and some edibles from Golden Coast there. This is from Bubba King's. But there's also a free access all weekend pass to the Mom Cup.
Camping pass. So you can go camp for the whole weekend.
Well, that's all access, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
that gets you access. What you want when you're at these cups.
There's VIP access, so there's just 2 different. But yes,
no. When you go there, the thing is that the vendors are there. The people that are representing their products are there.
Yeah.
And many times there's samples for people.
Exactly. So that's where you can do that. Yeah. And you can bring your own weed too.
Which is why they're not letting the youngsters in to that area.
Yeah, just like if there was a beer tent, you wouldn't have any kids running around in the beer tent, right? So it's the same thing.
It's only because of the political climate that you would want to make it 19.
Yeah.
You don't really want to risk, the heavy-handed government coming down on you.
Especially in Hope.
In a real world, it would be up to the parents.
Yes.
If the parents are there, then it's up to the parents.
It still is, because the parents could go in the cannabis area and bring the product out and then...
Well, sure.
Right?
Of course it is. But as far as...
But
you can bring your kids into a liquor store.
Exactly, right. Yeah,
I don't know if they get to test the margaritas like the adults do. Probably not.
Mm-hmm.
But still, it's up to the parents.
Yeah.
It should be up to the parents. In fact, the Ledane Commission that we referenced earlier was millions of dollars and years put into the government of Canada, the Senate, looking into the whole thing of cannabis and prohibition and all of that. Mm-hmm. And they determined that, for what I said, that there should absolutely be no criminal penalties involved with cannabis. That's ludicrous. But also that the age of access should be 16.
It should be, yes. I know you follow that too.
I do follow that logic as well.
That's what I did with my kids. When they were 16, they were able to smoke cannabis. But if the government says they have a legal way...
Well, the government says you could go to jail for a long time for that.
Yeah.
That's what the government says.
Yeah.
A family, your kids.
But you can give your kids beer on your own property, in your own home, any alcohol or anything. That's okay. Right, but
the Cannabis Act needs to be scrapped,
and not something healthy.
The Cannabis Act and all these legislations that have followed in the provinces since then need to be scrapped.
Yeah,
it is just ludicrous. I was trying to explain it to somebody the other day. Well, you can so I'm allowed to grow this plant. I thought this plant was dangerous. Well, no, the plant's not dangerous, and it's a plant. What do you mean? What's a plant like any other plant? We Googled it. I showed her. Yeah. The buds, and I said these are trimmed. Normally, and here's some plants that aren't trimmed. And you can see the flowers and how beautiful they are. And nice flowers.
Who is this?
And a friend of mine.
Okay.
But she doesn't. Someone that I know that doesn't have much knowledge about cannabis. Mm-hmm. And so but I can grow them in my house.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can grow them in your house. And what about my yard? Yeah, you can grow them in your yard as long as nobody can see it. What do you mean? So, well, your neighbors can see it, but you can't let anybody from the street see it.
Yeah.
Well, what's the reason for that? I said, well, is that because they're dangerous? I said, well, no, it's because the government's made the price so high that I guess it's so valuable that they're afraid that maybe people are going to come into your yard and steal your plants. If you have them there.
Yeah.
Why the government would even care? I mean, you should care as a homeowner if you're going to get your plants. Like somebody comes in and takes your tomatoes. Yeah. The government doesn't really care. You care as a homeowner. If they're homeless people, you're happy to give up a few of your tomatoes. But if it's somebody trying to sell them down the street, maybe not so much. Or throw them at the neighbor's house, I don't know. But it's ludicrous. These things are ludicrous. The using cannabis on the water stuff. I mean, this is BC provincial stuff that's come down as far as how they're...
you don't use cannabis on the water either?
And more of a fine if you're in a canoe. Like it's just, I don't know. You have to look into these things, but it's just crazy shit.
Wow.
And still like penalties of like years and years in jail, especially supplying to a minor, like 14 years in jail.
Wow. Or
up to, right?
Up to. Yes.
But just what the hell? What for? Come clean already, government. It's over. You lost.
Yeah.
It was all bullshit to begin with. It still isn't true. It'll never be true just because you keep saying it is.
Yeah.
We know it threatens the bottom line of some of your buddies. We know the medical profession doesn't like it because they're totally in bed with pharmaceutical companies, and cannabis scares the shit out of pharmaceutical companies. They don't want people realizing that making a tea, having a brownie, taking a capsule, or inhaling the vapors through a vaporizer, or actually even combusting it like I do, that all of those things provides a supplement, an addition to your own body's personal guardian of all of your systems, the endocannabinoid system, the system that is in charge of looking after all the systems in the human body to make sure that when inflammation happens, the right chemistry goes to deal with that. When there's other stresses going on within the body, the right chemistry is going out to deal with that. Those things that go out there are that the endocannabinoid system puts out there to deal with those things are identical in their chemical makeup to the cannabinoids on the cannabis plant. Cannabis is a supplement to the human and other vertebrates' endocannabinoid system. It is medicine for whatever ails you. It will help you sleep if you're having trouble sleep. It'll help you be distracted from your pain. If you're stressed out and anxious, it'll put you in a better mood. It'll make you laugh at things. It'll make you see things in a better light and see the positive side of things. It'll allow you to be creative in finding solutions to things in your life. All of these positive things are what the cannabis plant is all about. And the pharmaceutical companies want nothing to do with any of that. They want to give you pills for your anxiety and your depression and your pain and all the other stressors that go on and your inflammation and all the rest of it. They want you to buy their pills, the pills that you pay a whole bunch of money for and they don't pay very much for at all. In fact, they end up getting grants and funds from foundations that provide them with money to do research and development to discover all of these amazing pills that they then charge you about a 3,000% markup on to make trillions of dollars so that they can influence government and make government make something like a natural herb, the best natural herb, the natural herb that was best able to compete with what the pharmaceutical companies were offering. They used that leverage to lie to people, to demonize cannabis, and make it a criminal offense to even have possession of a small amount. This amount of cannabis has gotten millions of people put into jail around the world over the last several decades. 100 years here in Canada. And no, in Canada, most people don't go to jail for just this much cannabis. But in the United States, they do. And especially if you've already got get me going on some of these other countries where you will get executed for small amounts of cannabis.
What about that girl in Russia, the American athlete that's in trouble right now?
And she's still in jail, right?
Letter that allowed her to have cannabis, but she brought it to Russia by mistake, and holy crap, she's in a lot of trouble.
So many examples over the last number of decades about people who have been incarcerated for outrageous, inhumane amounts of time simply because they had this much cannabis.
Yeah.
Searching people's cars, finding the slightest little evidence, a little seed, and now they're seizing your car at the border and you're in a jail cell. Mm-hmm. Absolutely ludicrous. And it's been going on for 100 years, all based on lies.
Okay, so let's say 15 more minutes, and then we're going to shut down the contest, okay?
All right, I like that.
Yeah, 15
I
more
like that
minutes.
because the ethical side of me says that the less people, the better.
Well,
the moral side of me says, yes, but all those other people that would join are good people too.
Yeah.
But
they're not watching the show live.
But let's have a good contest. People have had enough time. Yeah. And if they weren't watching the show earlier than this, well, that's their fault.
We've given them a whole half an hour, or actually 40 minutes. To put a star up there, so at about 5 to 5, I will count the amount of stars that are in there.
Well, no, you said 15 minutes. I saw that at 4:43.
Yeah, I'm going to start counting.
I'm saying at 5. Oh, you're going to start counting
yes,
at 5. But they will have until 5 o'clock.
Yes,
so
exactly.
5 o'clock Pacific time for people only in Canada.
Yep.
Can only work in Canada. Put up a star if you want to take a chance on winning.
We can't ship it across the border, right? We're not allowed to ship cannabis across the border because we already know what happened.
Look what happened to Mark Emery.
Tommy Chong too.
Well, those were interstate lines.
If they have a Canadian friend, they can gift it to.
As long as we don't have to mail it to the States.
Yeah, as long as we don't have to mail it. Yeah,
there we go. A little more flexibility.
That's Debbie Potts, is it? Yeah, Debbie Potts. You can put a star up there, and if you want it sent to a Canadian friend, then we can do something like
Canadian
that.
address?
We're Canadian. Of course we're going to work with you here, you know?
Yeah. We're like the Prairie Cup. We're the friendly country. We're the country that has the Prairie Cup. So, that says it all right there.
Well, Sonia, if you want a chance at winning, put a star up there. Debbie, put a star up. There we go.
Put the rules in again.
Pardon me? Put the rules in again?
Put the rules in again.
All right.
We only got 15 minutes. We'll try to get these people on board.
All right, there we go.
Because you might win. So those are that's how you put the rules up.
Yeah, I've got it saved in my taste.
And what we're looking at here is a nice little gram of FECO, the full extract cannabis oil. We've got some butter crumble by the looks of it. A real nice, probably a gram of at least a half gram. That's probably more like a gram of live rosin. Some Boveda packs. We've got the Bubba King's joint there. We've got the Golden Coast 500 milligram gummies. The OCB papers. I don't know why I have a card here, but I'm going to hold it up anyway because they probably
they
probably help to support the place, and this place is probably helping to support what we're doing there with the Mom Cup.
Yeah.
And if I know Asia, this is just her because that's Asia Moon.
Yeah.
And
I have a couple of those too.
Get it the right way. and that's not it at all.
No.
That's just the teaser. The real thing is an access pass for the weekend up in Hope, British Columbia, for the Mum Cup. And if you can't go, then they'll send you a judge's kit.
Yeah.
Right on.
And then you could judge online and be a judge and be a part of picking the winner.
And I think you should always judge for yourself.
That's true.
Why let other people tell you what's best? Maybe they're not you, and maybe you're different. I don't know. You should judge for yourself.
Yeah.
It's a great way. It's a great way to be part of the cannabis community.
Yeah, it is. You have fun.
Is to support these cups that come along, and to purchase yourself a judge's kit, because within that judge's kit is some serious value. Mm-hmm. Serious value. For those of you that are part of the cannabis community and you're looking for value in cannabinoids, the judge's kits are the way to go. For whatever the dollars are, I think in one case it's $420 for a judge's kit coming up there. They've varied in prices over the years at different cups and things. For that money that you get to judge a whole bunch of different cannabis.
Yeah. Edibles,
good cannabis,
concentrates,
all of those things.
Yeah, all of it.
The Prairie Cup was the first one that was famous for how many different strains of things. Anna. Sorry, you were going to say.
I do believe that stick is maybe distillate.
This here?
Yeah, because that color is is a distillate.
It is a little bit lighter, but I've seen full extract cannabis oil be that color as well.
All right, well then.
So I'm not really sure what that is.
No, because I've got these.
I think it's good though.
That have the dark RSO or full extract.
Well, RSO is Rick Simpson oil.
Yeah.
Rick Simpson oil is a form of FECO.
Yeah. So
but it's not the only. Yeah. Well, there's better ways of making it. I don't mean to slight Rick at all. I love the work that Rick has done. But there are other ways of extracting cannabis from the cannabis plant, and it's being perfected and improved upon all the time. So when you get it a little lighter, that could just mean that they've done a better job of filtering it out. So I don't really know about that, but I'll bet you that's good medicine. That's what I
good
do
medicine. Either way.
So you can win these things if you get in and put a star up in the chat.
And you're a Canadian resident, or you have a
Canadian address
to send it to. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So there you go. And you've got how many more minutes here? 12 more minutes.
12 more minutes.
We got time to talk about other things here.
Cups is after you find out who entered them, because then if you try a sample that you really like, then you know.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so many people have found what they like in those judges' kits.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and then you go back to that winner and say, hey, can I get some more of your stuff, right?
Well, that's what it's all about. It's about promoting the businesses. It's about giving people an access to know what businesses are out there and all that stuff. It's difficult for businesses to advertise in this legalization world. I asked Don and Carol of Weeds if they would like to come to Canada, to BC Bud Day. And it was like, no, we couldn't do that. We'd get in trouble for that. But I also asked Don and Carol, who had a great party the other day. It was more of a day party than a night party. I didn't get there till almost nighttime, so it was almost more of there wasn't too many of us left. And I'm sorry that I missed all the rest of you friends of mine that were there. But Don Briere had an amazing idea.
Yeah.
Let's have a birthday party. For everybody.
For everyone.
Because a couple of years of the pandemic, we haven't been celebrating things and going out and having parties for people.
Yeah.
So let's just have a party on one of the Saturdays in July and call it everybody's birthday party.
I would have come.
Yeah,
I didn't know.
Yeah. Next year.
I one of the first birthdays in January.
Yeah. So it's been a while for you.
Yeah.
And nobody came. But
you guys did well. Thank you very much.
We tried to make it special.
Yeah.
But it's a great idea, and of course Don's going to do it again next year. But I suggest that other people should do it again next year. I think it should be a thing. Christmas in July, that's a little strange.
How about a cannabis birthday party in the park?
Everybody's birthday once a year. For anybody who missed their birthday or didn't get it right or felt that their friends didn't get it right or just want to have a day to celebrate whatever. That was the beauty of it. You know, for whatever reason you wanted to make that day your birthday and celebrate it, you got to do that, and then you got to celebrate it the way that you wanted.
We could go to
So it was
Thornton
great.
Park, hang balloons, and have signs that said, "It's your birthday."
We could do that.
Yeah,
We could
right?
do that,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, have a big,
Maybe in
huge
between
Cannabis
Day
birth-
and BC
you
Bud
could
Day,
have a
we
cannabis
could have
birthday.
everybody's cannabis birthday.
party. That'd be great, eh?
Well, it's great because, you know, it gets your attention. Like, what do you mean everybody's birthday? And,
Yeah.
you know, cannabis? What? So, yeah, it could be great. I think Don came up with a real good one.
Wow, eh?
So, yeah.
And
Anyway, that was fun.
maybe we can supply a little, like a birthday gram for everybody who showed up and had a birthday.
I guarantee you there would be lots of that. Because what do you do on people's birthdays is you give them a gift.
Yeah. And
And the
you're at
best,
a cannabis
and the
birthday
best
party?
of that, just like for Christmas the best is in the giving.
Yeah.
If you get to be lucky enough to give somebody a gift, then hell yeah. So, hell yeah, let's have everybody's birthday one of the Saturdays, because Saturday is the obvious day. If you're going to have a birthday, if you had to choose a day you want to have your birthday on, it'd be a Saturday. You know, that's Saturday.
Great.
Saturday is the day.
And July in Vancouver is always a nice time,
Always
right?
beautiful.
We don't have to worry about rain or goose poop or anything. We got shade at that park. Yeah.
I don't know what the goose poop. They still might have to worry about some
In
of that.
July?
Aren't there goose in
No,
the geese
they
aren't here?
only come in the spring.
The geese are here. I was just looking at them.
Oh, were
there
they?
was geese over at Thornton Park. In fact, there was I guess you don't call them a herd.
There wasn't
you call them
for
a flock.
Cannabis Day.
No, for Cannabis Day there
That's
was
what- so-
very few, if any. I didn't
Yeah.
see any, and there was very little goose poop.
Yeah.
It was amazing. I was like, how is this possible? I've been there since because we're going there for August 1st, and I was putting posters up. And yeah, there was some geese there. There was some goose poop on the grass.
Maybe the geese know that we come every day. That's where they just
They vacated it for Cannabis Day. Maybe they'll give us another week's grace before BC Bud Day. You know, birds are smart, man. Birds are smart. Maybe they figured that out. You know, we've been going there for years now on that particular day, so they just stay away. They could probably tell, because birds are smart, that the humans didn't like the bird poop. You know, when you're putting up your tent and it's like, oh,
yeah, walking around on it. Yeah.
So maybe they and I say birds are smart. You know, they say the birds are the dinosaurs, eh?
What?
You didn't hear that? You don't know that?
Birds are dinosaurs?
The dinosaurs evolved into the present day birds.
Oh yes.
They took wing.
Yeah. But so did the mammoth turned into an elephant, right? And the saber-toothed tiger is now maybe like a lion or something.
We apparently were like small shrews, tree shrews, at one point in our evolution.
Oh, that's what they
Sorry,
say.
Annie Barbie, but this is the current science on it. And I don't know what quite to believe, but I do believe that in this amazing universe, life pretty quickly takes hold where the conditions are right, because the elements are present that can result in combinations of what becomes RNA and then eventually becomes DNA, at least on this planet. And if it proves that to be true that that's a fairly prevalent thing in a universe with billions and billions, in fact trillions and trillions of planets, perhaps billions and billions that are similar to Earth in its composition of atmosphere and elements, that if it's true that just the elements of the universe that make up this universe are able to relatively quickly, although they say it takes millions of years. I mean, enough monkeys at a typewriter maybe type thing, right?
Yeah.
But eventually you get what, like I say, are crude proteins, things that are able to come together. It's complicated, but the science is starting to unravel all of this stuff. So that's been the prevalent way of thinking about what's going on here for a long time. I don't buy into the Garden of Eden and the creation of humans and other animals as they are today. We've witnessed evolution. We can see it in the records. And so, that being said...
5 minutes.
5 minutes!
5 minutes to go. Get that stars in there. And only one star. I know you guys have commented a bunch of stars.
No, you only get one entry per person.
Yes.
No, you guys...
We're stick on that one. No. We're only loosey-goosey where it's reasonable to be so.
Some people put in 4.
Doesn't matter.
No, just one star.
Just one.
Yeah. But we will count any amount of stars, but you don't get like 2 entries or 3 entries or 4 entries if you did it 4 or 5 times. You only get the 1 entry.
We're sticking with that. We only got 3 more minutes to change our minds, so we're not changing our minds.
So you can keep talking. I'm going to start counting.
All right. Back to the depth of the universe here.
Yes.
We're since they say maybe 14 billion years. These distances of space and time are unfathomable. We cannot comprehend them. I don't care what you say. You cannot imagine how long really 13 or 14 billion years would be. A billion years is insane. 1,000 blocks of a million. Like a million, 1,000 blocks of no. Terribly difficult amounts of time and space involved. But here we are in this obscure outer area of one of the billions of galaxies on a planet that has sustained life for billions of years here. And starting with the crude microbes, we've built to what we have here today with these incredibly adapted creatures like the cats and the rats and the elephants and the humans and the whales and the sharks and the birds and the bees and all of these incredible life forms that over billions of years have adapted to their different environments on the planet into all of this life that's here, including us, with seemingly the only species that has the ability to contemplate its own existence the way that we do, to wonder about what is the makeup of the universe, what is the size and the workings of the universe, how can we measure and track all of these things, what does it all mean? I don't think any of the other life forms on the planet are contemplating those two very basic questions that I've had since my beginning of searching for answers. I only really have two questions. Do you know what they are?
Nope.
Okay. I've told you before, I think.
You probably have, but
the two questions are, number one, how can there be matter? How can there possibly be matter?
Oh, aren't we made of matter?
Everything's made of matter.
Of course. Okay.
The universe has all this matter in it.
Yeah.
Where the hell did all that come from? Where did any of it come from? How could there be any matter? How can there be matter? How can there be little bits and pieces of things made up of little bits and pieces of things that make up bigger bits and pieces of things that make up planets and stars and life forms and all the rest of
it
this?
Is.
Well, that's not a good enough answer for me. Just the way it is not a good enough answer for me.
Well, you can see it under a microscope.
It all apparently...
You can see it under a microscope.
Apparently, oh sure.
Yes.
You can see it.
Yes.
We know there's matter.
So,
unless we're all living in a matrix, or unless we're in some sort of a synthesized illusion.
Yeah.
But if this is as real as it seems, this is made up of tiny little bits of swirling energies that fasten together through the laws of attraction and those sorts of things and make a desk and make a me and all these things. How can there be any of that stuff? There was some Big Bang, maybe. I don't know that that's anything that is believed to be 100% as the theory. Who knows? But maybe at some point there was a beginning. Maybe that was a spark of one of these little bits of matter, energy into a perfect vacuum that just went fucking crazy. Like what happens if you fuse an atom or pull it apart, you get this cataclysmic explosion from this tiny little thing that a million of them fit on the head of a pin. You couldn't see it if you tried. I mean, you gotta have a super electron microscope to even see one of these little atom things that you can either fuse together or pull apart and have a huge either implosion or explosion. So, where did that thing come from? Where did any matter come from? How can there possibly be matter? That's my number one question. Number two.
Yeah.
How can that possibly matter?
How can that possibly matter?
How can it possibly matter that there's matter and we're wondering how it came into existence? Who the hell are we? What do you mean there's we? What the hell is this?
I kind of think we were maybe put here. And then we
by who? By what? Where did they come from?
And they've erased our minds to know our past and then to start again here.
Yeah, but we've been searching our past through fossil records. And
but we got pyramids that have to drive a spaceship. With
absolutely, yeah.
So
I'm not saying we have not been visited and affected by these things, but I think there's a pretty clear DNA trail that dates back billions of years to the original bacteria, and everything on the planet shares it. Did we get a boost of intelligence? Did they decide to choose one of the animals on the planet and make that one the sentient one with the consciousness and the frontal cortex and the workable opposable thumbs?
Maybe 1,000 years.
Maybe.
Anyways,
no, not 1,000.
No,
maybe a long time. Maybe a million years ago. Some of these megalithic.
Maybe in a million years we'll have the answer.
Oh, maybe, or maybe tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe.
What do you got to do? It's 5 o'clock.
Neil, can you confirm that there's 11 stars, please?
11? There's more than 11.
No, some of them are duplicates.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's not
You're
take
only
this,
counting stars.
one name,
per-
one star.
Yeah. Or
Sorry,
or
folks,
several
but
stars.
we
So I
talked about
counted
this.
11. Amy Duncan would be the 11th.
All right, so that's over.
Well, yes, and he's just going to confirm because I need to set the
Yeah,
generator.
so he's
ready.
doing that.
Yeah.
I'll finish my point.
Okay.
I can't
How
go
the-
back that far in the chat.
You can't go back that far? Okay, well, I can. I go right back to where I first posted the rules, and I counted 11. Yeah. I got... Oh, yeah, no, I can't go back that far either, but... you can't go back that far?
Did we not get them
I
all?
can't go back.
Okay, I did. I counted 11. So
Do we have all their names?
Yeah, we do.
I swear there's more than that.
No, there isn't.
So can you go back to the beginning of the chat?
Yeah, once the show is over, you'll be able to see all comments, and we'll be able to see. But yes, it is 11. There, Joe commented a couple of times. Don't worry, I counted 11 times.
Well, explain to them.
Yeah,
I just want to make sure everyone gets.
Bottom line, there's no more coming in.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no more coming in. There's 11. So I'm going to set up
So-
a random generator right now. Hold on.
I guess we're going to announce this today, aren't we?
Well, we can random generator.
Do we have to?
No, you want to do it next week?
Well, I'm just thinking, just to be
Because
fair.
more people-
How do you get a hold of this person?
Well,
we got them. They
send them a message.
chatted in. They sent a message. We can send them a message
You're gonna
back.
Send them a message.
Yeah,
Yep.
Okay.
but
We'll
if-
make sure it
if
works, and
we
we'll
wait-
make sure it's fair. And that's why I'm suggesting maybe we have a little delay so we can go back to the
Okay,
beginning
all right.
and just see that.
I will. Okay, so
But your time to-
Amy Duncan was the
All
last
right, well,
start.
I'll say this then.
Yes.
Oh, never mind.
Okay.
All right.
We will announce the winner once the show is over. I will comment in there and we'll announce the winner. That's what I'll do. I'll go home. I'll
And
go
I'll
through all
put
the
it in-
comments, and
Okay.
then once the show is over, they all appear. So we'll be able to make sure.
Should we announce what the number is that wins?
Sure.
We can do that. We can do
We
the
can
random
that right
number
now,
poll
right now.
so that person, maybe they can
Random
know.
number generator. Okay, so there's the minimum. The maximum is 11.
Yeah. This is
Okay.
exciting, folks. New
All right,
technology.
and then we're going to generate, and that's the winning number.
Dun, dun, dun,
Number
dun,
7.
dun,
So the
dun,
7th
dun.
star that commented will be the winner.
Okay.
And we will
And
announce
we will-
the winner after the show is over.
We'll
when I get
confirm
home.
that. We'll send out to that person. And that's what we've done.
Lucky number 7.
Right.
There
So,
you go. Yeah.
two things on what we were just talking about
Yes.
there. There are these megalithic, ancient megalithic structures involving blocks of rock that are cut so precisely,
Yep.
that weigh so much, that to be able to conceive how any ancient people could do this like this
Yeah.
is very good.
Yeah.
So there's been intelligent stuff going on this planet for a very long time, maybe as much as 1 million years. So on the other side, was there aliens that came and decided to maybe
Leave us here.
splice into our DNA something?
Yeah.
Although you would think that we would see that in our own investigations. But maybe they did something. Maybe they have a ray or something. They're far more advanced than us, right? So maybe they came down and gave one of the creatures on this planet the boost that it needed to have the cerebral cortex and be human in the way that we are. And what if they'd have picked a cat? That's what I was thinking.
Well,
you know,
we'd probably look like cat
Yeah,
people.
you know, we'd be like cat people, right?
We'd be cats like on Broadway.
Yeah, cats like on Broadway, you know, and we'd be talking and we'd be walking and we'd be driving cars and we wouldn't need a seatbelt because we'd just tie ourselves in with our tail.
What about if we were all a bunch of SpongeBobs?
Could be SpongeBobs. We could go on for a while about what other life forms could look like
We
too.
could, yeah.
But even on this planet, I mean, if you just if you moved ahead, like if there's enough time, do you think like the rabbits will become conscious and sentient like us and start using their thumbs or something?
We never know.
You never know.
We
eh?
never know.
And we started this by talking to me saying that birds are smart.
Yeah.
They say that a
You said
crow.
birds were dinosaurs.
Well,
what
the
you
dinosaurs
said.
have evolved into what is now the birds.
Okay.
Some of them, and that some of them are very, very clever.
Yes.
Very clever.
Yeah.
Especially some of the tropical birds, in their ability to mimic sounds and in their ability to understand. Like my friend Paul has a parrot that's I don't know 80 years old or whatever. He talks to you, man.
Oh, yeah.
He knows what's going on in
Yeah.
the room. He's gonna ask you what's happening. He's gonna say shit to you. He's a member
he's been
of the
taught.
room.
Yeah.
He knows what he's saying. He is smart.
Yeah.
Crows, they say, can be as smart as a 7-year-old child.
Yeah. They can
A
remember you.
7-year-old child.
Remember what you do and stuff like that.
Well, and they can pass on
Yeah.
the characteristics of
Oh,
your being
Oh, wow.
to generations.
Wow.
3 generations back.
Wow.
The offspring are still afraid of that face.
Wow, eh?
Wow.
Wow.
But a 7-year-old.
Yeah.
7-year-olds are flipping brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
Like, holy crap. Now, we're obviously not talking about the most brilliant of 7-year-olds,
No.
but we're also not talking about the later developing 7-year-olds either. We're talking about an average 7-year-old. An average 7-year-old is a pretty bright being there.
Yeah.
Putting together all sorts of puzzles, learned a complex language, lots of things going on there. There's some pretty good 7-year-old hockey players. Mm-hmm. I've seen them. So, anyway, I don't know why we're talking about this stuff. Got nothing to do with cannabis, but it does have to do with what happens when you smoke cannabis.
Yes, it does. Yeah. So congratulations on number 7. Like I said, we will do that. I'll even do a video to count down just so people, and I'll put it in the comment box there too. That this.
We're gonna do our best to do it right.
Yeah,
That's what we're trying to do.
I'm seasoned.
Seasoned veteran.
I'm seasoned. I've been through this before.
So somebody posted the other day about how there's $75 ounces and it's not too bad.
Yeah.
At a government store.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
At a government store.
Wow.
And that's not too bad.
That's not too bad.
So he's like, we're getting there.
Yeah.
So 75 times 448.
Oh, wow. Well,
No, 16. Sorry.
16. Yeah. So
75 times 16. So we're still over $1,000.
10 is $750 plus 75 with 6 is 150 for another 450 on top of that. So, yeah.
So $1,000 plus
over 1,000.
$1,000 plus
12,
for
10, like that.
for cannabis that's not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And irradiated. And they're probably selling it at $75 for an ounce because they can't get rid of it as a gram.
Grown by people who definitely don't love you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Licensed by people who despise you but want your money.
People that want to sell you something that the government said was really bad.
The government is making.
I know.
The government and the actual owners of these public companies are making bank.
Yeah, they are.
They are.
Yeah.
They're taking their tax off front. The government is. That's lots of money. At the federal level, they take $1 a gram.
Yeah.
Not sure what the other levels are taking, but they're all taking their slice.
Mm-hmm.
$1 a gram.
Wow.
400. You wouldn't pay more than $10 a pound for the best cherries or strawberries that can be grown? Probably. Although I know if I'm talking to people in Japan, I understand you are paying a lot more than that for some boutique cherries that are sent from growers.
Yep.
I hear that's a thing now. But come on, in North America here, for the produce that is brought to market by the farmers that provide for us, we wouldn't pay more than $10 a pound for anything. Now, I'm fine, and I understand that cannabis should be more expensive than that, or can be more expensive than that. Not that it should be more expensive than that, but it certainly can be. And people are willing and wanting to pay that extra money. Because when you grow it meticulously, by people who really know what they're doing, indoors, because I guess you can control the light, but I'll tell you, you can grow some real kick-ass cannabis outdoors as well. But, the cost of electricity and hydro and the lights and all the equipment and all the rest of that, there's more than that. There's fans and dehumidifiers and lots of other growing mains. There's fertilizers. There's living soil. There's a whole bunch of costs that are involved in producing the very best connoisseur cannabis. And good on those people for doing it. Maybe Prohibition drove that like nothing else would have. I don't know. But to have cannabis produced in ways that make it expensive is fine. Why not? People can pay what they want to pay.
Yeah.
The government shouldn't allow for gouging, but that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about people that have legitimate costs, high hydro bills, high equipment bills, 25 years of pain and experience going, and lots of other reasons why it would be fine to charge even, I guess, a couple dollars, even up to $10 a gram, if people want to pay that much. I mean, because in our world where we've had prohibition, and we're all used to paying $10 plus a gram, a lot more than that in some other places, people are going to happily pay $10 a gram if they think that's the best and they're getting the best.
But I would.
But
yeah, maybe
but-
occasionally, like a bottle of champagne, have a nice bag of connoisseur weed,
because you have some means.
Yes.
You don't barely make your budget every month.
No.
You don't have to decide.
I would only do it at Christmas when maybe I save some money.
You don't have to decide which item are my kids not going to get this month because I can't afford to feed them and buy them the clothes that they need for school and get them those things that they... you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There are so many families out there right now that are just suffering like that, that every month they're deciding what they have to cut out of what they really should have as a family.
I don't usually eat when it's about
You're old,
there.
man.
Yeah.
I'm old too.
Yeah.
We got it going on.
Yeah.
Our kids are growing up and gone for the most part. You still got Isabel.
Yeah.
But we have some
money
means.
With food because I have to.
You're a fart smeller. I mean, you're a smart feller.
You're a Mart smeller, right?
Fart smeller. You like that one? That's a good one.
That's good cannabis.
That's a good one. That's another Nealism been going on for a long time. There's lots of them. Some of them are not fit for a family show. But maybe that one isn't either. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, when you get older, when you got it fair, if you're lucky, we're lucky too, right? We're lucky. Lots of lucky people.
Yeah.
Lots of people aren't lucky. Lots of people are struggling.
Yeah.
The cost of everything has gone through the roof right now. The cost of gasoline. So that means when the cost of gasoline goes through the roof, the price of just about everything goes through the roof,
Did you get your check?
No.
Oh, I did.
Did you?
Yeah, it should be out.
Well-
You should check your mail place wherever you get your mail. There should be $110 waiting for you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did I have to do anything to get that?
Nope.
Okay, well, maybe it's there.
Landlord got his, I got mine. We all got them on
I
Monday.
see.
They're supposed to be
Wow,
delivered by the end of July.
That's going to help so much. I get a whole half a tank of gas.
Well, I know. Well, the price is down to $1.80 now.
That's the horrible thing is that we all think that $1.80 is a good price for gasoline
when
now.
it was $2.50. Yeah,
Yeah, of course. That's what they do. That's what they do. That's the game they've been playing with us for a long time.
And I was thinking about this shrinkflation. After this is over, they never increase the package back to what it was and charge you the low price again. They just keep it there and charge you the higher price.
I know.
That, I would believe that companies would make so much more money and customers that say, well, we now know that this inflation thing is over. We're going to return to back to where we were. And you know what? That company, the people would say, fuck yeah, I'm going with that company because look what they did, right?
And if that's the case, then the marketplace is going to adjust for that because there will be somebody else come along and provide cheaper than that.
Yeah.
Well, there would be, probably.
Well, I heard there's a big
the only
thing
reason
going on
there
at
isn't
Walmart.
is if there's government regulation in the way.
There's a big thing at Walmart now because they have a whole bunch of backup during COVID. Now they're having this big, huge, massive sale. Thousands and thousands of stuff is going to be on sale because they've got nowhere to put it.
There should be bargains.
Yeah.
There should be bargains.
Where's the dollar store?
There should be people to fill those vacuums. But in the case of like hotels, for example, that are up 30+%, it went from what would normally have been a $120 room. It was $248. Now that's more than a 100% jump at the one hotel that I stayed at a few times here when it gets really hot because I don't have air conditioning here. But $248, I was like, not paying that for an air conditioned night. I'll sleep in the heat with a fan on my face.
Yeah.
So, but those costs. The other thing is they only had one room available. The other one that I went to before that was booked solid on a Wednesday night. Now it is tourist time of year here for sure.
Yeah.
High prices all over the place. If they can get it, they'll continue to charge it.
Yeah.
If they can't get it and other people are willing to undercut it, then the marketplace will make the proper adjustments and that'll all work itself out.
So it's all about greed, right?
It's all about greed.
So,
and when they put the price of fuel up like that, when they have monopolies on fuel, and they put the price of fuel way up, well, then that's the cost of everything that has to be transported.
Yep, exactly.
And then, like you say, most businesses will take advantage of that.
Yeah.
But sometimes that works and sometimes that blows up in your face, you know?
Like the Glossette peanuts. It used to come in a long box. Now it comes in a plastic package about that size.
Wow, really?
Yeah. I bought them just at the Shell in Matsqui on my way last week, and it's now just in a little tiny package.
I don't buy chocolate-covered raisins.
No, I went for the peanuts. That's not the raisins. I did the Glossette peanuts, but yeah.
Peanuts might be better.
I noticed the shrinkflation even hit that. We already knew about chips. Chips, half a bag of chips with half a bag of air.
I just want to clarify for people watching that I don't eat chocolate-covered raisins because my friends in the Okanagan that grow the grapes that become the raisins in many cases told me that when they're spraying on the pesticides, that the good grapes, they shun the pesticide, just like water off a duck's back. But the ones that are not so good, that are shriveled a bit, those are the ones that become raisins, and those ones soak up the pesticides, and so they call them pesticide pellets. That's what they call raisins in the Okanagan.
Wow.
And in fact, the ones that are covered in chocolate, in many cases, probably most cases, those are the less desirable raisins of the bunch that they have to cover in chocolate to make them edible. And so, yeah, I stopped eating chocolate-covered raisins and raisins in general when I was told that.
I don't eat many raisins, but yeah, I go for the peanuts anyways.
They taste good, and maybe they used to be better in the days when they didn't spray them with pesticides. I don't know.
You mean like sun-made raisins? Because we used to always get those in our package at lunch.
I know.
And Mom would send those for us, right? Those were always pretty good, I guess. So
they taste all right, but maybe they're not good for you at all. I mean, look, you know, I hate cancer. Cancer kills people, and there's lots of different cancers in our environment. And, you know,
breathe it.
Maybe that's, you know, there's a lot of sources of the cancer in our environment, and we don't know what they all are. But as we find out what they are, we stop using those harsh chemicals around our homes, around our bodies that, you know, I did, you know, when you start to find out that some of these things have pretty harsh chemicals in them. And you don't want to, and if you're smelling something that's, you know, a harsh chemical because you're cleaning, you don't want to be smelling that.
No.
You want to have a mask on that doesn't let that smell in.
Yeah.
Because that smell is toxic, and it doesn't kill you right away. It doesn't even make you sick overnight most times. But it stays in your body. It gets into your fat cells. It manifests itself in cancers.
I have to buy some nice stuff for Isabel because she doesn't like the smell of chemicals and stuff. So I make sure I get.
Yeah, don't be breathing in car exhaust as best you can.
No.
And
raisins look too much like roaches.
Don't smoke those things.
Don't smoke the roaches. I mean raisins.
I'm gonna smoke my roach, not a raisin.
All right. Well, guess you're gonna.
We covered the depths of the universe.
We did.
And,
until next week.
Matter whether it should matter.
BC Bud Day.
Yeah, we didn't talk about.
Yeah,
BC
we did. You got to talk about BC Bud Day. All right.
BC Bud Day brought to you by CannaMatch this year.
Next Monday.
We'll be at Thornton Park, and it's going to be a hell of a great party, as it always is. The vibe at Thornton Park is superb. The shade, just more shade every year. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the trees get bigger.
Yeah.
So there's even more shade this year than there was last year, and it's awesome there. We've got a lot of good entertainment coming, and a lot of good speakers are going to talk, and looking forward to a lot of that. So, yeah, come on down.
There.
No vendor fees.
Nope.
We're not holding spots for anybody.
First come, first serve.
First come, first serve. But so far, you haven't had to get there terribly early to get a good spot. In fact, Thornton Park is a really neat little layout where there's these little branches off the main sidewalk that all become these little villages of the vendors that set up there.
Yeah.
And each one's got its own kind of flavor.
Yeah.
And each one is visited by all the people that come there. Everybody wants to see all these little things that are there. So, you know, you don't need to get up at 4 a.m. to go there and get a spot. We're not at that level yet. And this is not 4:20.
No.
But, you know, I'd get there relatively early by 8 or 9 o'clock, probably 9 o'clock on the outside, and be set up by 10 o'clock. And that's when the people start usually showing up and checking things out. Mm-hmm. And by noon, we'll get the show on the way and educate people about why legalization in Canada is not what we were fighting for and can't be accepted until we get low barrier access and the poor people and the sick people get easy, affordable access to all the cannabis that's out there. We didn't really talk enough, for anybody who hasn't watched the show before, about why that $75 ounce of decent cannabis is not a good deal. That farmers can and will do way, way better than that if they're allowed to.
Yeah.
If the government got out of the way and farmers could grow whatever they want, well, for one thing, they'd all start growing cannabis and nothing else for a while because they can't get that kind of money on anything that they grow. They get pennies on the pound. But that would change over time. But let's let that aside for just a minute. That just if a farmer wanted to put in a patch of cannabis and bring it to market, and his goal is to have good cannabis for people at a very affordable price that are similar to the other commodities that are brought to market by farmers, then you would find bunches of cannabis stalks with lots of nice buds on them, maybe unclipped and uncured, but it would be $10 a pound or $20 a pound, not much more. And $20 a pound would be super lucrative for the farmer, because cannabis provides more biomass per cubic meter than any other crop that a farmer would grow. So they're going to get more out of every foot of cannabis that they're growing, and it grows tall and it grows these baseball bats if you know what you're doing, and farmers know what they're doing, and so they wouldn't need high cost indoor paid for lights. They'd be growing it in the sunshine, which is a pretty damn good way to grow things if you do it right, especially with a hybrid greenhouse, which has an initial cost set up, but once in operation, produces cannabis at literally dollars per pound. So that's what would happen. Farmers would find ways to bring good cannabis to the marketplace that was at a price that even the poorest of people could afford.
And we would help the environment, because cannabis takes in 4 or 5 times more carbon dioxide than a tree does.
Growing cannabis, growing plants is a wonderful thing.
But even the cannabis plant will even reclaim your soil for you and make it all healthy again.
Yep.
And it takes in the carbon dioxide 4 or 5 times than a tree does, and it takes a tree 25 years to grow.
Yeah.
Right? So we could really do the planet a lot of good if we were able to grow that plant once again. I think it would really
So the
help
only
out.
role of government in all of this, to do with cannabis, would be that the concentrates need to have people need to be educated about the concentrates. That too much edibles cannot be a fun time. But there's no toxic level. You're not going to die from eating too much edibles even.
No.
But it's not a good thing. You don't want your kids getting that type of an experience for sure. There is some room for regulating, and by regulating I mean just education, because that's the number one way that things are regulated in this country. It's the number one way that they need to be regulated. You don't need much more than that.
No.
You can have age restrictions on some certain things, and there are. You could have some advertising restrictions on things like tobacco and alcohol and probably fentanyl, and there should be on some pharmaceuticals. And they do have regulations on some of that. There is some bans on advertising some of those things.
Yeah.
And with the pharmaceuticals, they have to tell you the side effects as well as the benefits.
Side effects, yes.
The possible side effects.
Yeah.
So, what are you, a pharmaceutical company?
No, I would listen to those stupid commercials.
Yeah, the possible side effects.
Yeah.
Not everybody gets all of those side effects, but everybody gets some, because there's enough to go around. And the plan is that you get some of those side effects so that A, you know that pill worked, because that's what the doctor told you, could get some of these side effects. So when your tummy's all upset or your head starts to hurt, you're like, yep, doctor told me that was going to happen. This pill must be working. And B, they got other pills for that too. So you're good with that, and they're really good with that. So anyway, forgive my cynicism if you can.
And somebody just said they won't do it because of old greed and old men, and that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
If we were allowed the cannabis plants, then we wouldn't have a carbon tax. So then the government would be able to charge us a carbon tax, and they wouldn't get as much money.
Yeah.
So let's promote fucking fossil fuels and take away the cannabis plants that could save.
So that's a brilliant point that was made there.
Yeah.
This is about old men and old greed.
Yeah.
We have what we've been born into is a system where the government had become, and more ever since, authorities instead of servants.
Yeah.
And that these laws and rules and stuff were just intrusions into our life that we accepted because it had always been that way, and that's just the way it was. But as things have progressed here, it's become very clear that this is not right, that lots of this is not right. But there's so many groups that have found themselves ways to get rich on prohibition.
Yeah.
They're not going to let it go.
No.
They've got lobbying power, they've got leverage. And so when the government's talking about legalization, and that's going to impact their financial interests in big ways, then they're going to do what it takes to get the government to, not do that, or do it in a way that protects them.
Yeah.
And so because the rich people have the ear of government and the poor people have the contempt of government, the rich people get to have their way. And so legalization here in Canada has resulted in a system where the rich can afford it, and only the rich can afford it. The real rich get even real richer on those rich people that can afford it. And everybody else is blocked by government regulation to be able to access reasonably and let the marketplace decide what's going on here. They have legalized in a way that allows for all of those groups that are making money out of prohibition to continue to make that money from prohibition. That there is still Prohibition 2.0, more money on enforcement, higher penalties involved, more enforcement people involved in making sure that nobody gets to grow outside of the Trudeau cartel. That if you're going to try to produce cannabis and sell it and you're not getting a government license to do that, then the heaviest hand of the law is coming down on you, and they're going to protect their interests.
Just like you.
Well, we don't know if the heaviest hand is coming down on us yet.
It could have been provincial. Federal would be the heaviest of the law.
Well,
right?
we'll see.
Yeah.
What's happened provincially with, for example, Ted Smith, but there's many more. In fact, just told about another major multi-$100 fine being paid by Weeds, Glass, and Gifts for, operating outside of the Trudeau cartel. Ted Smith, the biggest example to date, where they're trying to make sure that no one would ever dare open another dispensary, a medical access dispensary, without that government license from Health Canada. $6.5 million fine. A fine that is much larger than whatever would have been the most heinous of crimes that has happened in Canada. Clifford Olson certainly was not fined $6.5 million for murdering our children. So, there's no justification for what they're doing. They are completely out of control. They are corrupt right to the core and right to the top. And they're going to do what it takes to protect their interests, and they don't care who dies from it. Their policies have driven this overdose public health emergency. It is because of the government's drug policies that we have street dealers selling drugs to people, and we have that supply poisoned, and now we have what's going on here. This is all simply a construct of the society that is built for us by these public servants that are supposed to be working for us, but don't and haven't been for a long time. They give lip service to it. They say all the things they need to say about we're working for the people and we're going to bring you this, but they aren't and they don't. They never have, and they're not going to unless we force them into doing that. So we must find a way to properly legalize cannabis so that all of the people can afford it, and it can be the affordable, reasonable price that it would be if the marketplace could decide that and farmers could decide that. We must expose the government for what they're doing and how corrupt they are, and scrap their Cannabis Act, scrap any criminal, in fact, any penalties to do with cannabis needs to be scrapped. We need to start fresh and with a completely new viewpoint. And the only role of government, like I say, would be to regulate through education about the potentials of the concentrates and the extracts, though it's all way, way less serious than pharmaceuticals and alcohol and commercial tobacco and even processed foods.
I say even go back to our old ways before legalization, because we had quite a plan going here in Vancouver. All the dispensaries, it was running nicely.
Yep, it was running nicely.
Going it by, there was no problems.
Until there was complaints about the quality of the cannabis actually hurting people, there was no need to do what they did.
No, but then you're going to find out with everybody. There's going to be somebody that didn't make it.
That's up to the dispensaries.
Exactly.
That's up to the dispensaries.
Go there. Just like if you went to a restaurant and they gave you crappy food, you don't go to that crappy restaurant anymore, right?
The medicinal cannabis dispensary were the leaders, and they were the model that everybody else needed to follow. They set the bar. That when cannabis was brought to them, they scoped it, they tested it, they checked it in all the ways you can check it, and they didn't put it out there until they were satisfied that it was up to par for their customer base. That's all that needs to happen. And the government doesn't even need to drive that. The marketplace will drive that. If there's places that are selling crappy cannabis and there's places that are selling reputable, good cannabis at similar prices, people are going to go to the reputable place. That's the marketplace.
It's the word of mouth, right? Everybody tells them, don't go to this one.
But we're talking about cannabis here. We're not talking about moonshine, bathtub gin, stuff that kids made in their basement that's now on the store shelves. We're talking about cannabis. And anybody that's the times it's happened are few, but they're there. But they're diminishing. They're not increasing.
No.
If we had a regulated marketplace internally, like you're talking about, where it was a self-regulating marketplace, those things get weeded out, if you'll excuse the pun, pretty quickly.
It would even make it past the board.
That person that tried to sell that stuff to this dispensary that went, oh my God, this is full of this crap or whatever crap, they get called out on it. They can't get away with that anymore.
No.
They don't try that anymore. Other places don't try that anymore. I mean, that's what was happening in the industry. We had some really good dispensaries. People were learning to trust. They had thousands of members, all self-regulated, all self-tested, no need for government interference. So the only role for government is not to interfere. It's to maybe make sure that there's a little education about the concentrates. And if there was any other role for government, It would be to make sure that there's affordable cannabis in the marketplace.
Yep.
That's the only thing they need to make sure. They need to make sure that if somebody can't afford it at all, that we as taxpayers subsidize that.
Yeah.
Government pays for that. There should be free cannabis from government if people need it.
Good
if it's going to
cannabis.
help them sleep, if it's going to help them get off of opioids, if it's going to help them with a variety of other things, it needs to be available, easily available. That would be the regulation that government should put in there. You need to have cannabis easily available, and that should be on the municipalities.
Yeah.
You know, the federal government should say, hey, municipality, make sure that you are supporting whatever that means, whatever it takes. Some place that's going to provide cannabis to people that need it for free.
Yeah.
That needs to happen.
Yeah, dude.
That's what we're doing. That's why we're successful.
And that's what you do here at the CSP.
That's what we do at the CSP.
Great segue.
Great segue.
It's 5:30.
Perfect timing.
I know, eh?
I should make you the producer.
No, I love O'Neill.
You need O'Neill. I'm the producer.
Anyways,
O'Neill doesn't tell me what to do. I decide.
We'll see you on Monday, I guess.
He doesn't even tell me, hey, Neil, it's 5:30. You should probably get onto the CSP. He never tells me anything like that.
You got me.
He I got me.
Yeah.
I'm the one who's supposed to do this.
Yeah,
I'm looking too, you know.
Yeah.
I got these things relatively under control.
So I'll see you on Monday.
I try to only we try to only fill your heads with stuff that is somewhat informative or interesting or the truth anyway, if we can. And I'm willing to delve into the secrets of the universe and matter and why that should matter. If it's that.
Yeah.
But I do try to keep my eye on the clock. But no, Neil, he'll talk to me sometimes about whether or not the content is of value. That's what he wants. He doesn't want us
valuable stuff.
He does, and I don't blame him at all because that's what the people watching want as well. They don't want us to be over here dribbling and talking about stupid shit that doesn't affect anybody's life or doesn't mean anything. So I try to keep the content, like I say, stuff that could be informative to people who haven't thought about things that way before or whatever, or entertaining if not. And I'm not that entertaining, so I have to compensate by trying to be a little bit too creative about what we talk about. But we do delve a little bit from cannabis sometimes, but everything's related to cannabis. Everything is related to cannabis.
It makes you go off topic and
they say there's a whole planet out there that's made of that's got just weed grown on it.
Oh, really?
I don't know how they know that.
I think maybe
might be just speculation.
I think so.
But they a cannabis planet. They say there's a diamond planet. There's a planet made completely out of like one solid chunk of diamond.
Maybe.
Possible. I mean, these things are forged in
Look
supernovae.
at that new telescope that's letting us see all these new galaxies.
We're going to learn a lot in the next few years here. Holy shit, we're going to learn a lot.
All right, sir.
Amazing. You got to go.
All right. You got that.
You're going out
there. Yeah. So we'll see you on Monday.
We'll see you on Monday.
Or if you come down to the fireworks, let me know.
Wednesday
and Saturday.
Like tomorrow. Tomorrow, you mean?
Yeah, we have a spot. So you just have to let me know, and I don't know if you see
my
pictures. You can probably figure out where we are.
I probably will do that.
Well, just let us know. We'll save you a spot. Because then you don't have to worry about it. I park at St. Paul's. I walk in, and I don't have to deal with the traffic getting out. Right?
Yeah, I'll get somewhere close and walk in from there.
Sure.
You can't bring your vehicle in there anyway.
Let me know. Text
and
me.
You certainly wouldn't want to.
No.
I remember when so long ago when I had a family. I haven't had a family since 1994 or 5, and maybe it was right around that time. So in the early 90s, when they had fireworks. We went as a family, in the car. My idea was to get as close down there as you could, of course. I mean, you want to have your car close by to wherever you are.
Yeah.
Well, that was a mistake.
Because
you don't get home till 4 in the morning when you do that.
Even if you have a boat, it's a mistake because all those boats are in the harbor.
I haven't tried that.
Traffic jam.
Man.
Oh my God! At 10:30 at night, all those boats trying to leave and everything.
The traffic jams back in the early days of the fireworks were epic.
See,
they were epic.
After 30 years of going, I know not to walk with a crowd.
That's right.
I get up into the alleyways and take the alleyways.
100%.
Right?
Don't tell too many people.
Wow.
It's like the lottery. Now they're all going to be in the laneways.
No.
The streets will be empty. They'll all be in the laneways thinking the streets are full.
They're like sheep and they just follow everybody. Right?
But yeah, you can actually move fairly smoothly
the West End,
through the alleys.
Are beautiful alleyways. They're not east.
They're not East Van alleys.
No, they're not.
You would not want to be.
No, not these alleys.
In
but
these
ones
alleys.
are great. Yeah. All right. We'll see you soon. Take care.
Yeah, you don't want to be. You don't want to be taking a tourist tour through the alleys of hell that are Hastings and Main area, unless you want to get a dose of what's going on here. But should you decide to do that, or should you find yourself down here, you will get a dose, I'll tell you, of of some pretty horrible stuff that's going on in our society. There are literally hundreds of people littering the streets, some of them in tents that they set up. There's an absolute literal tent city on Hastings Street for about a 3-block length, where businesses and residents have a difficult time getting back and forth into their businesses, to put it mildly. One person was recently stabbed because they tried to make a fellow in a wheelchair, a young fellow in a wheelchair coming out of his building, was stabbed because he had to make his way through people that were camped out there, and somebody took exception to that. Today we had a young man, probably maybe in his early 30s at the most, that was dying outside of our door here, right here, right outside of that wall, right there. And I was alerted to that, and I came out there and I checked on him, and right away I called 911. We have a lot of people that pass out and are sleeping here on the downtown east side, and you don't want to bother those people too much, but sometimes they don't look like they're really alive, and sometimes you want to go and see if you can get a reaction from them. It's a difficult choice to do down here. I received a punch to the head in the last month or so for trying to make sure a guy wasn't as dead as he looked like he was. He was quite not happy that I had woken him up, and I was too. But in this case, this fellow wasn't waking up, and so we called 911, and we got right on it with someone had a Narcan kit, and we Narcaned him. I got 911 on the line, and with their instructions, we did chest compressions for several minutes until the paramedics got there. We narked him 3 times before the paramedics got there. I stepped out once the paramedics had got there. I stepped away because it was pretty emotionally taxing to deal with something like that going on. We actually I haven't seen a death here in these lanes in the time that I've been here, although there have been several right close, but I haven't personally seen it. I don't ever want to, but felt like I was coming close today. So I stepped away for just a couple minutes, and then went to go back to find out if he was okay, because they were just trying to get him to his feet or get him pulled out of where he was in between this wall and the telephone pole. And I don't know if they Narcaned him a 4th time or not, but apparently he jumped to his feet and then wasn't very happy about the ambulance being there and what have you. But the point is that we have got a real crisis going on here. This is a war zone, and there are hundreds and hundreds of victims that are present and visible all around us every day. These are our children, these are our family members, these are people that come from families throughout the province and the country that have found themselves struggling with addiction. Addiction is not anybody's fault, and even if it was, it doesn't matter. What matters is that people, through circumstance, have found themselves on a regimen of using drugs that can't be stopped without extreme difficulty. And that withdrawal is the barrier to stopping the use of those drugs. And I'll tell you, just about everybody that's out here that is a visible person struggling with these issues would like to not be struggling with them, would like to be able to successfully go through withdrawal and get off of those substances and never go on them again. That's how most of them feel about it. But it's very difficult. Withdrawal is an extremely difficult thing to do. It's easier if you do it in treatment, if you go into like a rehab center where they will help you with that by trying to make sure that you don't give in to your urges to go and get what you really need to stop the pain. And they'll help you in other ways as well get through it. But most people don't succeed. They have about a 10% success rate at the treatment centers for getting people through withdrawal. It takes people several times. They finally get desperate enough. They finally make it through. And then they're a different person. Then they get their life back. And most of those people, many of those people, most that I know, and I know many of them now, will tell you that cannabis was the vehicle that got them through the withdrawal and to the other side of their addiction. Not so much in the form of smoked cannabis. Smoked cannabis isn't powerful enough to get people through withdrawal. But the edibles are. You can eat too much cannabis. You can't smoke too much cannabis. But because you can eat too much cannabis, you can eat enough cannabis that you can get through withdrawal. You can knock yourself out for 2 or 3 days at a time even. I don't recommend that. But you can. And you can get semi-comatose. Enough that you're not in such serious agony going through withdrawal. And you can get through it. And we've been proving that here. I knew it to be the case 6 years ago. I knew before that. But 6 years ago, when this poison drug supply happened upon Vancouver again, I knew that was an answer to this. That if we could make cannabis high-dose edibles as easily available as possible, especially to the people that are visible in here, but to everyone, then we could put a dent in the amount of people dying. So that started the Cannabis Substitution Program. 5.5 years ago, I had gone by that time to City Council, to VANDU, the Vancouver Area Network of Drug Users, the government-funded organization that advocates for people that are suffering from the drug war. I got their unanimous approval. I went to City Council. I did not get their unanimous approval for 2.5 years. I went to the Vancouver Police Board, told them all about what we were doing here and what we were about to do because we hadn't started it yet. I went there with Rob Laurie as my lawyer just to tell him, we have a plan. It's not legal, but it'll work. And we know it'll work. And we're going to do it. And we're going to do it whether we get permission or not. We're going to do it. And we told them that. And they shook. I got my hand shook by a few different high-ranking police officers that night. And one in particular who really kind of liked what we were doing. Deputy Chief Steve Rye. So we proceeded to do it. Without City Council's approval. For 2.5 years. And then they passed a motion because by that time it was very clear that we were helping people here. Lots of people had gone to their doctors. Lots of people had reported to different government organizations and harm reduction groups that they were getting cannabis high-dose edibles, and that was helping them a lot. So they passed a motion to support what we were doing. Low barrier access, of course, is what it is. I called it easy access to cannabis, especially high-dose edibles. They called it low barrier access. Well, that works. That's fine. If that encompasses easy access, making it as easy as possible for people to get access, then good. Low barrier access it is. That's what we need. So they pass a motion unanimously in the city of Vancouver to support low barrier access to cannabis. And nobody else responded except for us. Nobody else came along and decided they would see what the government meant by that. What did the municipality mean by supporting low barrier access? Let's start providing low barrier access to cannabis and see if the government will support us. Nobody else responded to that. But we did. We went and met with the city, the councillor that put that motion forward and got it passed unanimously. We had an understanding. And in good faith, we rented this space and opened it as a store, expecting to get licensed by the city of Vancouver and thinking that's all we would need. That we weren't seeking a provincial license because that's about non-medical cannabis and that requires all kinds of stupid regulations that wouldn't allow low barrier access for sure. And there was no federal government thing to apply for, we thought. So we just needed the city to give us a piece of paper with a signature on it, and then we could have a store, and then we could have people come in and with a little bit of dignity get what they need. But no, the city of Vancouver wouldn't do that. Not until the federal government says it's okay. They're going to follow the federal government's lead on the cannabis thing. They don't have to, but they're going to. So we applied to Health Canada and the federal health minister with not just an extremely well put together comprehensive application that any high school student with any ethics and a heart would have immediately sought to be able to approve. They would have found ways to make sure that gets approved right now. And if not, we also applied for a temporary exemption from the Cannabis Act until the license could be figured out, because certainly it was in contrast to the Cannabis Act, what we were suggesting should happen, and it would need to have some conversations and negotiations and some alterations and things like that. So we thought until that happens, however long that could take, I didn't think it would take more than a short period of time, but we should really have an emergency exemption like today, like as soon as the minister gets it, sign a piece of paper, so that we're not at risk and our program's not at risk. And part of our application was Professor Zachary Walsh stating as clear as a bell that what we're doing is saving lives, that any reduction or pulling back or stopping of our program would result in people going back to the poison drug supply, that our program needed to be protected, that our program needed to have no obstacles faced in front of it, that we should be encouraged, supported, and allowed to expand. That's what Dr. Zachary Walsh said about the Cannabis Substitution Program 3.5 years into its existence. And that's part of our application to Health Canada, along with dozens of testimonials, a fantastic video of short testimonial clips from people that were finding success with our program, along with all the different, not all of them, along with a plethora of studies speaking to the efficacy and the safety of using cannabis high dose as a replacement process. We had all of that. It's all in there. Wouldn't have taken a high school student more than a half a day to look through all of that, to read all of that and go, yeah, hell yeah, even if it only maybe works. Let's give it a try. But holy smokes, look what they've got going on for 3.5 years. It's obviously working. Give them a license. But no. For almost 2 years, we've been waiting for that temporary exemption from Mr. Benoit Seguin, the person in charge of Health Canada's Special Licensing and Exemption Division. They have such a thing. There is such a person. He repeatedly told us over the last 2 years, when we would send him more of the incoming science and ongoing science showing that what we're doing works, he continued to tell us that their team had been working diligently on it every day since they got it. Don't worry, Mr. Magnuson. Well, worry? I'm worried every day. I'm worried every day that they're going to come and raid us again. We worried every day before they raided us that they might raid us. I'm worried about all the people that we're not reaching because we're stuck in an RV. And today we're in sweltering heat out there. We've gone through a very cold winter for Vancouver. We've been in that RV for almost 2 years. Well, it'll be 2 years in November. I don't want to exaggerate anything. I haven't exaggerated anything. I'm trying to be very truthful about all of this. But this coming November 1st, it'll be 2 years, if we're not out of the RV yet, that we were in the RV. Unable to really reach the people that we would otherwise be able to reach if we could have stores here, there, and everywhere that it is needed, and be able to advertise what we're doing and have newspaper articles written about what we're doing. But we can't do that either because the newspapers won't write about us. The media hesitates and is very reticent to cover what we're doing here because we don't have permission from Health Canada yet. Because they're afraid of losing the potential future advertising dollars of legalization should stores ever be able to legalize. Or whatever it is. Maybe the same people that own the newspapers bought a bunch of stock in cannabis stores and don't want low barrier access. Not sure what it is. But this is a big story going on here, and the media doesn't want to cover it. They did cover it, I should say, and in fairness, there was quite a bit of coverage when we were raided May 11th. For a few days, we were the lead story on City TV News. They had an article in print on their global website. CKNW did a morning of talking about the program that we have here. And I had talked to CKNW a little bit before that on 420. They wanted to talk about the program. But we get very little media coverage of what is a huge story. And watching the government's corruption be unfolded right before your eyes. This is a spectacle of corruption like we've seen very few times before. And there's been a lot of corruption that's become a spectacle in this country. But this one, the absolute murder by negligence or corruption of the many, many thousands of Canadians that have died due to this opioid crisis driven by government policy. This is a huge story. And it's an even huger story that the media won't cover it. That they're in cahoots with the same people that own our public servants, apparently. The corporate investment in our lives and in the laws and our governments and all of that has resulted in systems of governance that is literally murdering people by first causing the opioid crisis to begin with through the overprescription of OxyContin and other opioids, and then continuing it through all of these policies of safe supply of other pharmaceutical opioids and things, and methadone, and all these other things. Our governments have constructed this war zone of misery out here, and we want to take them to task on that. We want to expose them for that, but mostly we just want low barrier access to cannabis. You can help us. You can contact Health Canada, especially their Special Licensing and Exemption Division. Mr. Benoit Seguin, to be exact, would probably be the one whose name to put on there. And express yourself about these things if you feel strongly or feel similarly to how I feel. You can even make a phone call to the Justice Minister or the Health Minister. You likely won't get to talk to anybody, but you could leave a message there. You can also email their office. And we really need that to happen. We've got until September 6th to properly answer Health Canada's intent to deny, because our supply is not legal. And I didn't even quite get to it earlier in the show. Their other reason is that they are not going to be allowing the dispensing of high-dose cannabis edibles to people that don't have a doctor supporting that choice. And I don't know if I need to explain to you just how ludicrous that is. Especially the poor people, the people that are struggling so hard with mental illness, addiction, and other things. They can't get a doctor to support them in using cannabis. The kids, they can't get a doctor, period. Many of them won't even go see a doctor, never, ever, ever, because they're scared of doctors. And a million other Canadians would like to have a family physician as well, and they can't find one either. And even the doctors that are out there, there's only 5%, if that, that'll talk about cannabis. So for Health Canada to decide that Canadians who don't have a doctor supporting their choice of using high-dose edibles to get off of other harder drugs, that they don't get access because of that? Well, if that isn't murder, I don't know what is. Physically, actively blocking access to life-saving medicine, I don't know what else you call that. But an almost 2-year wait for Health Canada to approve licenses when we demonstrate every day that we're doing good here, that we're saving people's lives here, and everybody supports us, and all the doctors and everybody else that is working with us support us, and yet Health Canada won't even come and check it out for themselves, and they're going to deny us. I can't fathom how criminal this all is. The amount of people's lives that are lost, the amount of families' lives that are ruined, the amount of cost to us as taxpayers, the carnage to our justice system in disrespect for the laws. On and on and on it goes. Glenn would tell you that it's environmentally destructive as well. And so many other aspects of life are affected by the corruption that is involved in what's going on here. And so we have the Cannabis Substitution Program. We continue to operate. The stories of our RV being taken on May 11th and returned have been told time and time again, but that happened. For 4 weeks, we operated out of a tent outside. We got the RV back with no explanation. Don't know what that explanation is going to be if we ever get one, but we're still there in the RV every day, 7 days a week, 8 hours a day, like we always have been, providing easy access to cannabis. And a brief visit out there is probably in order at this time. I'm sure you can feel it at home. It's like an oven out here. The THC weather report, weekly weather report is, it's an oven out here. It's swelteringly hot. It's not quite the heat dome that we had last year, but it is similar in heat to apparently what happens in the Middle East even. And with the moisture content, they say it's somewhere around 40 degrees equivalent here. So it's hot, that's all I'm telling you. I feel real bad for the people that don't have shelter from the heat, and I feel even worse for the people that are confined to a small area in order to provide a service for people, because the government is so corrupt that we can't get a store with some air conditioning for people to come into and for my volunteers to operate out of. So I will also want to give a shout out to the other CSPs that are happening across Canada, to Chris Backer in Halifax with his crew there that have been doing such fine work for so long. You can check out the East Coast Cannabis Substitution Program. It's a Facebook page. Chris posts there every week about the giveaway that he has going on, similar to what we did here at Vandu, and all the fine people that help him there. I know Canadian Lumber is one of those, and there's a bunch of other people that provide him with products and things that he can make up kits for people to give out there. So almost 2 years, or over 2 years now, of Chris Backer running his program there. In London, Ontario, we have the Cannabis Substitution Program going on there, and that's being handled by William Hicks and his crew of people that help him there. And they've been operating for, well, I guess several months, 8 months, 9 months, maybe. I don't know how long it's been since Mary's gone. It seems like such a long time since Mary's been gone. I'm hoping she comes back. Maybe she will. She's got the itch. How could you not? Mary's been having some real troubles with her feet, and still waiting for doctors to properly diagnose what's going on there. And so with it being her feet that's going on, she can't really walk properly at all. So she tells me she's just sitting on her butt watching videos of life in Vancouver, and wondering how she can get back here, and I'm sure she's going to find a way one day before too much longer. I hope you do, Mary. But anyway, Mary was our head baker here for a long time, had to go back to London, Ontario, started the program there. It's still going strong with William Hicks, as I said, and so support those people. The Cannabis Substitution Program is run by volunteers, and it's completely by donation. And it's very difficult for what Chris is doing with his East Coast Cannabis Substitution Program, with what William is doing and what we're doing here. It's very difficult to continue to give away cannabis. I was told before I started over 5.5 years ago that what we're doing here is unsustainable. I haven't proved that wrong yet, because it's only been 5.5 years, so we'll see how much longer I can sustain this. But it certainly could be sustainable with some government help. It can be sustainable the way that we've done it as well, with enough good people that care about what's going on here, that they see that this is a way that they can give back and they can help, and that's what they do. And with some sort of a persistent, pesky, relentless organizer who won't give up, these things can work, and they can be really, really successful, as we have been here. There's literally several hundred people that have been helped by what we're doing here over the course of our 5.5 years, many of them very profoundly. And really all we would feel successful about is if there was even only 1 or 2 people that had turned their lives around and started living healthy, functioning lives from where they were when they were dope sick and addicted. But we literally have hundreds of those people, to our credit here. So support your local CSP. Support us if you can with a letter to Health Canada or to the federal health minister, or an email or a phone call or whatever you can do. This is very important stuff right now in this world. The world needs something. It's in a lot of trouble. And cannabis has been touted as a savior of the world for a very long time. And I don't think that's ever been more true than it is right now. That cannabis can save the world. It can save the world by bringing euphoria and love to those that are suffering from depression and hate. It can save the world because industrially there's nothing like it. For fuel, for fabric, there's so much more, building materials. There's so much that we can do with the cannabis plant. If the restrictions were taken off of it, human beings could get the benefit of this plant. So that economically, environmentally, socially, physically, spiritually, we can benefit, all of us as individuals and all of us as a collective. So it's not a stretch to say that cannabis can save the world, especially at this time when the world really needs saving. And especially with what's going on here, one block over, a literal tent city full of people dealing hard drugs and struggling with addiction and homeless, in pain and impoverished. This is what's going on here that we're trying to help with. It's going on in lots of cities all across North America, even around the world, certainly in Canada. And one of the best solutions to that, easy access to high-dose edibles and cannabis. I think you're probably sick of hearing me say that. Let's check out the RV. Our home and well, I don't know what to call it, but we love this place, and after having lost it for a while, we feel even closer to it, unless you're having to work in it, in which case you hate it because it's so damn hot. Is that correct?
Exactly.
Exactly. I thought I framed that properly. We love it, but now we hate it because it's too damn hot to be in, and what can we do?
It's hot as shit.
It's hot as shit. And that's
The roof
hot
is
shit.
hot. My hair is hot.
Yeah, we even leave the back door open. We got a little bit of a breeze coming through, but not enough. And we looks like we got at least maybe 4 or 5 more days of this. So yeah, say a little prayer for us, and drink something cold for us, and write a letter to Health Canada for us, because that'd be really good. What can you tell us today? You want to say a few words about John?
Oh, John. Yeah, we knew him for a few years. This lovely old man that would hang out right by the van, and he'd just hang out there for little chunks of time, and he'd disappear for a while, and would come back. We used to collect empties for him, which he would then give to a sweet little old Asian lady that lives in this building here. But yeah, stage 4 cancer stole him away from our world. So.
Time to go. It was his time to go.
He used to be a piano teacher.
My mom's had cancer 3 times. It's time to go. When you get that far, there's nothing else to do.
Especially the pain meds weren't helping him
You
anymore.
want to go early. You don't want to.
Yeah, we had
He didn't
watched.
want to suffer.
We had watched a real deterioration for the last several months, maybe 5 or 6 months. His face had gotten really thin. He went from shuffling up the street to being helped with a walker, and then sitting in the walker instead of standing there. So we saw that happening to him, and then he just wasn't there for a little while, and then we found out he was in the hospital, and as Jen said. But I really liked John. He was such a nice man. Like, he was really a nice human being. You could genuinely say that about him.
Never saw him be mean to anybody or rude.
Oh, he couldn't even think about it, And he was doing his shuffle and his stand there every day before we got here, because that's what the doctor told him he needed to do. He needed to get out and get some fresh air, and so he would walk up the sidewalk to his station there, and then just stand there.
Well,
and
I still remember one of the main ways we met him was when Damien was still working here, and they used to give out the food donations all the time. And Damien decided to help him carry home a giant cake that he had gotten.
Nice.
And then he became a big part of our lives.
So he brought a positive spark to the neighborhood just by being there. There's John.
Is that picture I put up?
Yeah.
John was the talker.
And I know that we brought some positive energy into his life. That instead of just getting to watch all of the mayhem and chaos that happens here, he got to see a group that's giving back, people that are thankful and getting better, and all of this stuff.
And I even convinced him to eat some pot cookies.
And that helped him in the end.
It took a while, but
Yeah.
I convinced try some.
So yeah, rest in peace, John. We're gonna miss you. I certainly appreciated you, sir. But he's not suffering, and that's that's the main thing too. But actually, he lived pretty good right up until almost.
He died with a smile on his face.
Did he?
So.
Well, that's good to know.
Apparently, the drugs you can make you do that.
Yeah.
He looks pretty happy.
But there's a number of different ways to go. I watched.
It took the pain, right? So.
I watched my grandfather, be fed and drool and quiver and not love life at all.
Yeah. And I guess he did not want that to.
And I don't want that for myself. And when I see John there, I mean, he did get the most out of what he had going on. He looked at things from a pretty bright side of things, and he'd chuckle and laugh and find things, and he lived pretty good, up until the end. I don't know how much pain he was in for how long. As he was thinning down, he may have well been in pain during that time too. I don't know, but he got to be alive and be conscious and be getting what there was to have right up until the last week or so in hospital, probably, maybe even then. So anyway, that's that for that. We're gonna go knock on the door back here and see what happens. So this of course is the Cannabis Substitution Program. And this is where people come to access if they're members. And they would just go, it has to be exactly like that though.
Oh.
Hello? So?
The CSP needs donations.
You're a broken record.
It does.
I know.
Today we are low on donations. I have lots of people today.
And we did get some donations because of your telling them what you told them last week, right? Yeah. We got some. Robert brought down some cookies, and there was somebody else that brought some stuff. I've just gotten a couple of messages as well from people that are going to donate some stuff.
Because what Robert brought just went.
Yeah, I know, it goes really fast. That's the problem. So what do we have in the tray today?
Well, my tray is. Doing some cookies here. These are 100 milligram cookies. I got some cookies right here. These are 30 milligram cookies. Yes, from.
So those are from John.
Yes.
Yeah, I ate 2 of those yesterday, and I shouldn't have done that.
Because Robert gave us cookies, 2 bags. They went. They're gone.
Yeah, I don't eat edibles. I haven't eaten edibles for quite a long time. I have very, very little, if at all. That dates back a long time with me.
When you get edibles donated, you got to realize that if I'm going to have 30 people a day, that's 420 milligrams. 420 milligrams is a lot of edibles for some people, right? It's a lot.
Well, it's a lot to give out.
Yeah, it's a lot to give out. Yeah. That's why 30 people times, let's say, 5 or 6 items, right?
So those cookies looked so good. I was working in the RV yesterday, and I had eaten 2 of them already over the last month or so since John started making those. Both times at night, just before going to bed. Didn't notice anything. I sleep well anyway. I didn't think about it. So here yesterday, working in the RV, looking at those cookies, I had to eat one. I figured it'd be okay. And it was. I didn't really notice much, if anything, to the point where I thought, that was really good. I'm going to have another one. And that was my mistake. I ate the second one. And that's too much for me. Not being someone who eats edibles, I have a low tolerance, and they're 30 or so milligrams, so I had 60 or more milligrams, and I had a thick head, and I didn't feel very good for a while last night. Anyway, what do we got here now?
We have some kind of like a brownie muffin from Joe Pepper.
Joe Pepper,
one of our consistent.
Forever, since the beginning.
Since the beginning. She just came today. She comes all the time.
Yeah.
Consistent. That's one of our bakers that's consistent. And she does a good job.
Yeah.
And everybody loves them. They're 50 milligrams each.
Fantastic. We have some people that have been helping us for a while that we rely on so much. Joe Pepper's one of them. This is Dirty Dave. He's another one. Dirty Dave has been such an amazing contributor to us.
Dirty Dave is a big contributor right now at this point in time.
And
he's one of the big contributors right now.
Yeah, but he's been there forever for us
Yeah.
too. You know, not forever, not since
I'm
the very
giving-
beginning, but close to the beginning with his THC sandwiches. Remember, turkey, ham, and cheese
In the
sandwiches.
last few days, I've been
Or
giving,
chicken?
last few days or the week or so, I've been giving away a lot of pills. People have noticed
Yeah.
more pills, so
Yeah.
that's why I've
Well,
got
and we've had less of some of the other things. So, you know, the pills work for people once they try them, they figure that out. He mentioned Robert, that's somewhere in Neverland. They've also, Robert's been a great contributor over quite a long period of time.
great contributor.
We've got Green Wilderness since the early days, still contributing to the Cannabis Substitution Program. Gorilla Ganja, talk about amazing people for what they've done. Canadian Lumber provides us with papers that we can sell for $1. That money goes to the CSP, but then we have papers for people. We have papers to roll because everybody also gets a free joint when they get their CSP pack here.
We have a guy that comes by and gives us edibles. This kind
Right.
of edible. This is the kind of edible that he's given us. It's vacuum sealed, and he's been giving them around town to different organizations.
Yeah,
have
so
this-
we've tried them and tested
some of
them and
this
decided
too. He
that
does
we'll
some
help
of
them
this.
give those out.
Oh, there's the. Yeah, he's
The
been.
packaging leaves a little bit to be desired, but they're
Yeah.
you know, they're vacuum packed and
Yeah,
fresh
exactly.
because of that when they're opened. And so yeah, we like to help get stuff out to the neighborhood, and that's how that works. Here's some of that.
Yeah.
Is that Green Wilderness? No,
No, that was.
no.
the
This
one-
is Mad Hatter.
No.
No,
This is the
okay.
other-
This is Top Shelf. Mad Hatter, also a big donator of ours. Top Shelf has given us some stuff a little bit here and there, and they've just given us some more stuff as well.
These ones are 75 milligrams each. And these,
And there are some others I haven't named, but I was mostly naming the ones that have been
I have different
way
flavors,
back.
but this one is 25 milligrams each. It looks small, but 25 milligrams can do somebody really good help.
Yeah,
It can.
that's
It
a
doesn't-
good dose
Yeah, that's a great dose if you want to start out, right?
for sure. I wouldn't start out any higher than that for sure.
I have everybody.
Everybody gets a joint.
Everybody gets a joint.
Everybody
but
wants a joint.
Everybody, 99% ask for a joint. You can put a joint in the bag.
Yeah,
I like the
joint.
edibles myself, but if people need a joint, that's okay because that'll tie them
Well,
over, right?
originally I thought it was just going to be edibles because I knew that edibles was what would replace the other drugs, and joints really don't do it. But what we learned real quick was that people like joints because they kick in right away. They give you a little bit of a bridge until the edibles kick in. So
And you need something to smoke and not to.
yeah, and it's, a lot
Some
of people
people
like
are using that joint to put cigarettes too,
Right.
and the edibles to put cigarettes.
So we make sure there's a free joint for everybody,
Yeah.
for sure. All right, thanks, Andrew.
Okay, thanks guys. I appreciate
Sorry to
it.
anybody that I missed. I know I always miss people because we have so many people that help us with what we do here. I'm not going to stay here very long. Hello, George. Oh boy, so yeah, it's similarly warm to what it was yesterday. It's pretty hard to work in here for sure. Thank you guys for your.
Day week for you at 6 for us.
I know. Yeah, but I did get one of the warm ones anyway. So yeah, life inside the RV. This has been fun, but we'd much rather be in a store. Anything to say, George? You're just rolling.
I'm still rolling.
Rolling.
Doesn't matter what the temperature's like, I'm still rolling.
Gotta roll. So, thank you all for watching. Very much appreciate the ability to have this platform to broadcast from Cannabis Culture and Plot TV. Big thanks to my producer Neil for making sure the show works all the time. Thanks to all the people that are part of the CSP in whatever way you are, be it someone who's written a letter for us or someone who's donated to us in the way of edibles or something like that. Thank you all for the help. It's allowed it to be the success that it has been for all this time, and hopefully it's going to allow it to be propelled into success into the future, where we actually get some public servant to put a signature on a piece of paper that allows for the not only harmless but the life-saving work that we've been demonstrating for 5.5 years here. Could happen, might happen, more likely to happen if you write a letter or make a phone call or send an email. Every little one counts, and all of them added together will eventually be what breaks the camel's back. So help us do that. Yeah, just thanks for being there watching, and thanks for being a human being, and hopefully you're going to try every day to be a good human being. And if that hasn't been possible in the past, because we all make mistakes, well, Tomorrow's a brand new, fresh day, and it's not about what you did, it's about what you do. And I hope you all do good as best you can. Love your family, love your friends, love everybody in the world. What the hell, they're all just doing the best they can with what they were born into and with what they got. Most important, love yourself, be kind to yourself. And life is short. Have as much fun as you can. I'll see you next time.